With a name like the Monster Mile, Dover Motor Speedway always feels like it looms on a calendar almost forebodingly, and sometimes scares drivers away entirely. This season, though, in the BRB Sundance Pro Series, we're jumping in the deep end and wrestling with Miles the Monster in race number 2 on the season, one that will prove critical to early season momentum. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Dover, Delaware. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and I'll have Zach Murtis alongside this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Tonight's coverage from Dover for the Renewal by Anderson 250 is brought to you by Sundance Pizza, by MX Wraps, and by the BRB Racing League and other series partners. Zach is on his way. He's running up from trackside to join us in the broadcast booth virtually anyways. And, well, here we go. Dover Motor Speedway, it is about as true oval as you can get, at least in the racing sense. Just about symmetrical, one end to the other, one corner to the other. And I'm excited to get racing here this evening. This is a track we don't often hit in any racing leagues, racing calendars, if you will. But it is always such a tough place to race, no matter the car, no matter the field, no matter the setting. Dover Motor Speedway, one of the toughest tracks you'll come across, and I'm excited for these guys to tackle it here this evening. You see Johnny Wood Jr. going fastest in practice. Let's take a look, though, at point standings coming into this evening. Here you go. Zach Maddox on top with that win a week ago at Daytona International Speedway. Josh Conover, Brennan Maddox, Coulter Clark, Cameron Taylor, and Johnny Wood Jr. Even throw in Sam Dyer and Cole Lewis, all starting the season off on the right foot. I'd say, frankly, if you're within the top 20 positions or so, you're doing all right. You're already towards the front half of the field. You already are close to that chase cutoff line. You just got to keep treading water, keep adding points to the total, and try to make the best of it. And certainly tonight is going to be a night of attrition for sure over the course of 175 laps here at Dover. As usual, for the MX Wraps pre-race show, we have a handful of things to go over as now Jordan White goes fastest here in practice. We can take a look, of course, at this season's schedule, and there it is. You see Dover slotting in here at race number 2. Next week, it is the New Hampshire Motor Speedway up next for these guys, so we're staying up towards the north and then swinging all the way down south to Mexico City on Cinco de Mayo for round number 4. Then we kind of mix things up. Texas Motor Speedway, that's going to be the new Texas, I do believe. Daytona Road Course. How about Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Iowa Short Track, and then into the summer months, we'll go through Rockingham, Kansas, Martinsville, Motegi, Michigan, Bristol, Sonoma, Talladega, Atlanta, and California. The final 5 of those races being chase races. So a lot to look forward to in this season. A lot of great racetracks, 18 great racetracks. Maybe 17, I guess, with 2 Daytona dates. But as we get into tonight's MX Wraps pre-race show, the first driver we have to talk with this evening will be one of the drivers you saw just trading the fast lap in practice. That is going to be Jordan White, the Jamaican sensation himself, as we get into the iRacing.com sim here. This is the site of Jordan's only, to this point, only win on Pit Stop TV. I don't mean stage win, I do mean race win. It was here earlier this year in the All-American Racing Network that he went to victory lane for Whiplash Racing. It's the only time that we've seen the 83 win, I believe, unless he won one of the other AARN races that we covered, but I don't think so. So we'll bring in Jordan first up. We have another driver to talk to in just a few moments, but Jordan, well, you just went faster in practice. How about that? Perfect timing, showing these guys you have got a feel for Dover Motor Speedway. I was just mentioning the only time we've seen you win so far on the channel was right here at Dover, but in a NASCAR Cup car and in a very different field of drivers. How much larger will the challenge be tonight?
I mean, honestly, this BRB field is hyper competitive. You can see already how close the times are. Brendan Maddox is up there, Johnny Wood Jr., and the rookie Kevin Baumier. You know, those guys are really fast, so it's going to take a lot, and no mistakes from me on pit road. Keep at consistent pace, qualify up front. That's all it's going to take, and maybe we can get it done again.
And it looks like Zach was here and then left us. That's okay. So, Jordan, of course, 175 laps is a long race here today. You know, what we saw in the ARN race, it didn't matter that it was a long race. I think it was 200 in that race, 175 tonight. Technically, tonight's shorter, but these restarts, that's going to be the name of the game. Just to get into a long run, potentially, these restarts going to be crucial. We saw a lot of mistakes back here in February in those Cup cars. Do you think we'll see the same kind of mistakes tonight?
I mean, I'd say these BRB guys are much more seasoned, and I feel like the mistakes won't necessarily be on the restarts, but the mistakes will be that wall off turn 4 and turn 2. That's where it's going to be.
And of course, we've made it very known that we've introduced this new BRB fantasy game along with the NORA and ARN fantasy games in the last week and a half. I guess now 2 weeks, technically. And I think it's been a lot of fun to add. Obviously, though, you're a driver. People are picking you to go out there and perform and get them points. How cool is it to get some of your friends that maybe aren't in the league from other walks of life, get them into the Discord, have them start to pick? And, I mean, they're picking you. A lot of people are picking you.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I'll be that guy today, you know. I'd say I'm usually pretty fast, but I find a way to make a lot of mistakes. But in the off season, one thing I worked on a lot is not making those mistakes and cleaning that up, getting stage points like that. And that's what I want to do today. I want to prove to these guys that I can compete with a Brendan Maddox and Adam Buzzio, a Scott Fritz, a Johnny Wood Jr. I want to compete with those guys, a Josh Parent. And I feel like I can, and this is the season to prove it.
Finally getting those rookie stripes shaken off. Well, I just counted. There's at least 9 people that have picked you in some way, shape, or form for fantasy here today. Whether it's to win, some were to win the race, some were just to earn points for their team. So at least 9 trying to pick you and I guess have you represent them here today. Best of luck. Hopefully that's not too much pressure.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm excited. I feel like I got a fast car this weekend, so hopefully it can end as the fastest car.
Hey, time will tell. Best of luck, Jordan. That's our first guest on the evening, Jordan White, racing this season for Spirit Racing, and certainly I think is in a good camp over there. And our second driver this evening doesn't have any of the stats that we're looking at here for Jordan. You see the 11 BRB Speedway starts, the 15.4 average finish, which is 42nd, Zach, technically. And that doesn't sound very good, but that's 42nd out of, I believe, 85 drivers that have ever raced on a speedway in BRB. That's top half. Top half average finish with all of those single starts or 2 starts or 3 starts mixed in there of guys not really getting a good sample size. He's still top half in all of that. That's pretty good overall.
I think so. I'm not well versed in the stats when it comes to super speedway racing, but we've seen a lot of comers and goers.
Well, good thing it's not super speedway racing.
I heard super speedway racing.
Speedway
I got.
Like you're at Dover tonight.
I forget that Dover's speedway sometimes.
It's classified in Sim Racer Hub as a speedway. I could see the argument to move it down to short track status, but it's classified over there as a speedway. So as far as these stats go,
hold on.
That's how it gets classified.
You would make the argument to classify Dover as a short track, but you won't say Rockingham is a short track.
Look, man, I'm just reading what it tells me on Sim Racer Hub. We've got a second driver to get to. That is Kevin Baumler down at the number 10. He's 5th on the practice sheet so far tonight and pitted currently right behind Jordan White, who we just spoke with. And Kevin, I know this is kind of a new vibe to you, right? You typically are loading in. You already qualified a week ago. You're just doing some practice laps and about to go drive a Chevrolet Monte Carlo from 2003 on whatever racetrack. Well, here we got you in an ARCA Ford. We've got you paired with a lot of the same drivers. Now Ben Kinney's in that fold, and Wesley Rafferty will be as well as Dark Star and Whiplash Racing are very closely aligned here this season. This is a totally different vibe, though, from what we typically see for you on Monday nights. And there's been a lot of success over there lately. 3rd place last night, I think it was, or was it 2nd? I know we were talking to you at the end of the night, and that's the highlight, is we were talking to you in post-race. That means you were on the podium. So with all of that said, there's momentum going your way. Does that transfer into tonight's combo? ARCA cars, Dover, with a really, really tough field.
God, I hope so. Second last night, and then obviously qualified for Nora for next week at Richmond, and won the pole by half a tenth there. So there's definitely momentum on my side, but I'm not as familiar with these ARCA cars as some of these other guys. Missed a lot of practice this week, unfortunately. I work for a hospital, so that takes a lot of my free time away. So I don't have as much time to practice necessarily as some of these guys. So we're kind of learning on the fly and trying to figure out what's going to work and what won't work tonight. But hopefully we can qualify decently. Hopefully, somewhere around the top 10 and kind of go from there for tonight.
You talk about qualifying inside the top 10, moving from there. The restarts are always a big talking point here at Dover. How do you feel like you're going to stack up on these restarts? Do you think you're just going to have to be relying on the field giving you a break, or do you think you're just going to have to remain on top of everything? I know that's kind of a similar type question there, but it's always one that usually comes up when it comes to Dover.
Yeah, the restarts and even the start here is really tough. It seems like whoever's on the inside has a major disadvantage just because of the top can get rolling so much quicker and you have the momentum getting into one. So, yeah, if it comes to restarts, pray that you're on the outside. Otherwise, you definitely have to be somewhat aggressive here. You don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable situation, obviously, but track position matters so much here. The dirty air, just in the practice laps I've turned, I can tell that there's a major disadvantage being in dirty air, so clean air will definitely be key tonight. But we'll try to not put ourselves in vulnerable situations, but be aggressive at the same time. It's a sharp sword that you kind of got to balance.
And Gavin, I know it's a big adjustment, I think, for everybody to this whole fantasy game that we're trying out this season of BRB and now adding over to Nora and such. But I mean, Brady Motes just made his pick, and not only did he pick you for his points for the day, but also picked you to win the race. Is that extra pressure? Do you guys really care about that at all? I know it's still very new. We're all kind of figuring out how it fits into this, but is that adding to anything?
A little bit. I don't want to screw them over in the fantasy rankings, but at the same time, we're here for fun. But yeah, Josh and Brady are both putting the pressure on me. I let it slip that I was getting taught by Caden Honeycutt earlier today, and all of a sudden they think I'm going to win this race, which hopefully they're right, but there's a lot of fast guys in this server, a lot of really good drivers, so as long as I can stay patient and keep it clean, definitely give him a shot.
I've known Caden Honeycutt since he was just a random sim racer out in Texas. It's cool that he's gone truck racing and done all this great stuff through Cars Tour and everything. That's good company. We've seen him up front on Pit Stop TV broadcast before, so hopefully that rubs off on the number 10 here this evening. Best of luck, Kevin. Hopefully we'll talking to you later.
Yeah, I appreciate it. There's definitely some lore there. Caden picked me up about 3 years ago, and he's been helping me ever since on iRacing. He's a really good dude, so. But I appreciate you guys dragging me up here, and looking forward to the race.
Always good to talk to you, Kevin. And you can see the stats down below. Not much, just the one start to go off of Zach, but the 14 average finish, of course. Hope to better that stat here this evening. And he's at that new team as a new driver over at Dark Star Garage, partnered up with the number 1, the 17, and the 11. So watch out for Cody Smith. It'll be Jake Christenberry in the 11 and the 17 of Rodney Norman out there throughout the field. And with driver interviews out of the way, Zach, this will be a little bit of a different vibe this season for the pre-race show for a little bit. We're still kind of trying to work out exactly how we want to treat all of this and work the fantasy thing in, but there is still time. You can still make your fantasy picks out there if you would like to do so. I mean, qualifying hasn't started just yet, so hey, we invite you to head over to the Pitstop TV Discord server. Use the link at the bottom of your screen right now to go join. That is discord.gg/8 lowercase d, capital N, capital N, capital X, 7, capital S, capital D, capital R, capital Q. Discord does not make it easy, I know that, but if you enter that link, you can join the Discord server and get in, make your picks for tonight. You pick one driver from each points group, one driver to win the stage, one driver to win the race, and that's it. You are entered in, and the winner each week can get $5 off from mxwraps.com, and the overall eventual season winner will grab a diecast stand from TZO Designs. Their ad plays before and after these broadcasts, and then also a diecast that I went and handpicked from the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame last weekend. So anyways, Zach, now that we're into the pre-race show program properly, we've gone through points, track map schedule, all that, we can go ahead and get to Best in Show a little bit sooner, and I think we ought to do so. It's been bleeding into qualifying and such lately, so let's get this out of the way. Some great paint schemes on the racetrack this evening. There you saw Jordan White. Here is a look at Brendan Maddox. No real change there from last week's car. Same for Adam Buzzio. And Johnny Wood Jr.'s got those Renewal by Anderson colors on his 75, which makes sense. This is the Renewal by Anderson 175 this evening. Kevin Baumler, we saw his car already on the screen. There's Dustin Stallings, still sporting the Girl Dad colors on his 00. How about Richard Wolsifer out there in car 56, Stinspilt on that Chevrolet. Cody Smith in his Pit Stop TV Ford Mustang. And to go through just a couple more drivers in your top 10, Scott Fritz out there, the camo and orange looks nice, definitely Hunter vibes there as, Josh Parent's got some trouble on the backstretch.
Big ol' impact right there, and that Zach Maddox with him.
Look at that. In terms of Best in Show,
That's
Zach, look at
beautiful.
that one. That is a solid work done up by MX Wraps in the last day or so. I've been watching that process kind of in my peripheral, in the server, if you will, seeing them work on this. And boy, that is a good looking Cherry Sakura Red Bull Spring flavor, number 4 for Coulter Clark. That definitely is going to turn some heads and going to be a favorite, as his paint schemes often are. You've also got Josh Conover in the Pit Stop TV mobile, the one that we use in our promo images and such. So it's cool to see that car on the racetrack for once. I never really get to see that car on track, Zach. I'm the one driving it usually to get screenshots and stuff. So that's a little surreal to see that paint scheme that I associate with myself on the racetrack. But that's pretty cool for the 40 of Josh Conover. He's going for back-to-back wins. He won last night in the NORA Retro Cup Series at Darlington. There's Brady Motes, a Harpoon Designs painted number 44. There's last week's winner, same colors for him. Zach Maddox, no change there to the 14. Kyle Clank, same deal. Sam Dyer, bit of a new look on his number 35. Same look, though, for Caden Perkins and Jake Christenberry and Carl Pooler. And a new look, actually, for Ben Kinney. There's his number 41 that he painted up himself. Evan Patinko out there back in the Sealmaster colors. I like that dark feel for him. Aggressive for sure. Jacob Quayle. He's still got that same number 25 on his car. Same kind of deal for Robert Moyer. The John Deere colors tonight for Cole Lewis. Dan Stockaro made it in his primary for the season. And then Dakota Bly. I liked this one when I saw it earlier. The Quantum number 88. I saw it in the background, one of the shots we had up a little bit ago. I do like what's going on there for him. And then William Maple Jr., the only other car I see on the racetrack right now that we haven't yet looked at. So, Zach, I know you haven't done too many Best in Show nominations, but who you got?
Really put me on the spot here.
I
gotta say, I am a fan of Josh Conover's look, just because I've had the privilege of running those same colors on a late model and a truck. Who else, though?
Was that a nomination there for Josh?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna slot in a nomination for Conover, and as I flip through my own cameras on my end, he's on track right now. He's pitting, actually. I think I'm gonna nominate Adam Buzzio. I've always liked that Mack truck scheme that he had ever since we saw him give it a little debut. Oh, okay, got a little bit of wrecking going on behind him with Carl Pooler. But that Mack truck scheme, I love the gradient of the black and red. It's such a nice flow, and this is coming from a guy that usually prefers black and yellow.
Fair enough. I will say I want to go Coulter Clark. I think I'm going to. I'll go ahead and do it. And actually, the other one is in the frame as well. I'm gonna go Coulter Clark. It's too good. MX Raps knocked that one out of the park, and not even just to suck up to MX Raps, but it's so good. Let me type this in. We gotta have a dud eventually on the 4-car, right? Just to give everybody else a fair opportunity. But anyways, there you see Coulter Clark. He's getting a nomination from me today, and then I'm gonna go right behind him, Dakota Bly. Those are some really cool retro vibes. I don't know what's going on there, but Dakota, I like it, and we need more of it. So yeah, the 88 is going on my list here this evening. So Dakota Bly with the Quantum kind of throwback colors there is getting a nomination out of me. That vote will go live and will be up through the completion of stage number 1. So Zach, with that out of the way, we've got so much more to talk about. How about power rankings? We can actually get ahead of this evening. We've got some interesting moves, I think, on this graphic, Zach, and here you see just how things are breaking down. Zach Hall, no longer full-time in this series, taking a part-time role this season. He's starting to fall down a little bit. He lost some ground, obviously not racing at Daytona, and it doesn't look like he's here tonight at Dover, so he will eventually slide down the order. But Zach, these guys are still trying to fight to see who can take that spot over here this evening. Brendan Maddox, Adam Buzzio, they're poised, one of them likely to do it.
Brendan Maddox second in practice right now, so I would think that he would move up on those power rankings towards the end of the night. But all remains to be seen. Dover is a tricky racetrack. It's not the tricky triangle, but it's definitely got its fair share of, I was going to say demons, but it's better to say monsters, because Miles the Monster, he'll reach out and grab you. Maybe take some of these guys down, maybe carry a few of them up, who knows?
Now, when I was making this graphic and plugging in the numbers and everything for power rankings, I'm not going to lie, some names stood out to me. One is Sam Dyer, Zach, 10th place. He is now on the power rankings graphic, I think, for the very first time ever. And he just keeps putting together really quiet top 15, top 10 finishes. Obviously, Daytona, might be easier to grab, might be easier to get that top 10, but Sam is just keeping his car in the race so much better than a lot of guys are doing, and it's starting to equal this, him moving up in the power rankings, being top 10 this evening, right behind guys like Josh Perrin, and, ahead of, 11th, I believe, was Evan Patinko. I think 12th was, gosh, I'm racking my brain. I know there was a lot of tight competition. Gray Walker was, I think, the 14th spot. Dustin Stallings, I think, 13th. And for the life of me, I can't recall who was sitting in 12th, but a bunch of guys right behind that line. I mean, there's a lot of movement in that area, and then you see as well, from Scott Fritz down to Richard Wolfsfer, also really tight. We'll see a lot of movement there tonight, I think, but again, just, it's interesting to see how that all works out. I do want to say real quick, before this practice ends, I believe we've got just a little bit more time. Let me actually go over. What is the cutoff time that I set? Technically, I didn't post one. So, okay. If you have not yet picked your fantasy team this evening, you can do so through the end of qualifying. Then I'm going to lock that channel down. So, Zach, I know you just got yours in. I see Mason Houseman out there. Mason, get to picking. Go pick your guys if you want. Get to picking. Get some picks made for the fantasy game here this evening, as qualifying will open up on the racetrack. And Zach, of course, we talk about it a lot, but we can take a look at these car specs and see exactly what makes up an ARCA car here in 2026.
Well, it's, oh boy, drawing a blank here. ARCA cars, Ilmor engines, 396 Ilmor engines. Drawing a tiny blank. So the Ilmor motors in the ARCA cars, you may know them from somewhere else. They are also in NASCAR Truck Series cars. They don't exactly have the certain same specifications, but Ilmor motors definitely in the trucks as well. 4-speed H-power transmission, not the sequential gearbox that you see in those next-gen race cars. They are still working with what we call a little classic-style transmission. They've got a good fuel gallon, 22-gallon fuel cell, 83.2 liters. That's going to get them a good distance in this race tonight. 110-inch wheelbase, general tires, slick tires, and Holley 4,150 HP series carburetor. I thought, okay, when I see Holley, I think of the digital dash display, Andrew, because that's what you see when it pops up.
Well, those are some of the stats at least provided by iRacing. Qualifying, though, getting going on the racetrack, and we can take a look at who is where on the speed charts. Dustin Stallings straight to the top of the board in that 00, and everybody's still turning their times. Looks like most of the top 10 has already set their second lap. Here's Brendan Maddox, though. He's on to lap 2. Lap 1 was quick. He could have an electric qualifying run here.
We'll have to wait and see as he clicks through 3 and 4. Ripping that bottom line, trying to find his way back to the flag stand. Maddox, oh, did he hit the wall right there? I don't think so. A 75, that puts him to the top of the board.
Yes, it does. Brendan Maddox now on top. Josh Conover drops to 3rd. Stallings to 2nd. Cody Smith goes top 10. Johnny Wood Jr. will as well. Johnny up to 6th. Cameron Taylor goes 12th. Kevin Baumler to the line. Can he go a bit faster? He will. 23.0. That's going to be right in line for 11th as it finalizes to a 22.987. But hello, Coulter Clark. That was a bullet in the chamber. I was waiting to be fired. Right to the top of the board, even faster than Brendan Maddox. Watch out for this guy, though.
Scott Fritz, I think he's doing a throwaway lap. Running it really high off of 3 and 4. Bring it back to the line, 23-28. See if he can't go just a little bit faster on lap number 2. Down the back straightaway. Three and 4 this time. Here he comes, Andrew. Let's see what he's got in the 22.78.
That's quick.
That's gonna put him.
That's what
that's gonna put him top 5.
Yeah, 5th place. Just a bit quicker than Conover. Solid lap there. A few more to go. I'm worried about this guy too. Remember, he's got a win here on Pit Stop TV and the All-American Racing Network. He can get it done at Dover. Can he get it done in qualifying?
Seems to be the name of the game, managers. Just use lap 1 as a throwaway. These guys running really high in 3 and 4 to carry the speed off. Down in 1 and 2. Seeing what he can find on that bottom line.
Lap 1, 20th quick. That's not too bad. Let's see what he can do here on lap number 2. That seems to be the lap of record for these guys. The ARCA car very different from the Next Gen Cup car, but off of turn 4, let's see what the Jamaican sensation has got in the bag from 21st. 22.77. That's quick. That's going to be top 5 again. Now 4th for Jordan White. He'll start towards the front. Cody Smith shuts it down. Evan Matinko shuts it down. And 2 cars will not make a run. Those are Caden Perkins and Robert Moyer Jr. So with about 10 seconds and counting down here in qualifying, that'll do it. And Coulter Clark will lead us to the green. Picks are finalizing for the fantasy game this evening, Zach. And looking back actually at my picks, I know I had my eye on Coulter Clark, and sure enough, Zach, wouldn't you know it, I've got him picked not only in my top group of point standings for my team this evening, I've also got Dustin Stallings and Josh Conover, and then I've got Dustin Stallings to win the stage, but I've got Coulter Clark to win this dang race. And I don't know, Zach, something about that 4-car lately, he has been piquing my interest, and we'll see what he's got under the hood tonight. Let's take a look at Whiplash SimCam's race details. We've got 2 laps of pacing here ahead of us. We'll have time to get stuff in. 175 lap, 175 mile, or 2-hour race this evening. The stage will complete at the completion of lap number 50. That'll leave us 125 for stage 2 to the end. 4 change set, 70% fuel, the same general rules and whatnot that you would expect from any BRB race at this point. So, Zach, it's that same classic formula we've seen plenty of times prior. 75 degrees in the air, 81 on track, mostly cloudy skies. The humidity a little high, the wind is a little higher than I would expect it. You might have weather playing into this as well. This is a super sensitive racetrack. We'll see how the day goes on as we can get down to our ATVO starting grid this evening on pole. Well, that's not giving us lap times. That's unfortunate. All right, we'll do it this way. On pole, Coulter Clark, and the number 4 will lead us to the green this evening at Dover Motor Speedway. On his outside, Brendan Maddox, that is row number 1, back to row 2. Gray Walker and Jordan White, a couple of the top Toyota drivers in the field. 4, now actually 5 Toyotas at the front of the grid as Dustin Stallings rolls off 5th with Scott Fritz in 6th. Back in 7th and 8th, Josh Conover and Jake Christenberry. And to complete your top 10, Carl Pooler and Josh Parent.
Rolling outside the top 10, it's going to be Johnny Wood Jr. and Brady Moats to his outside. Then rolling off behind them, row number 7, you have Jacob Quayle and Adam Buzzio. A bit of a good as qualifying effort as I expected out of Buzzio, but I'm sure he'll have the speed to pick it up. Zach Maddox and Evan Patinko roll off in row number 8, and then row number 9 directly behind them in the 17th and 18th position, you'll find Cody Smith and Kevin Baumler. He's my pick to win the race after he was up there in the practice times. And then 19th and 20th on the starting lineup tonight, you'll find William Maple Jr. and Cameron Taylor.
Back in 21st this evening, how about Kyle Clank, the Canadian? 2 Canadians side by side. Clank alongside his teammate, Cole Lewis. Back in 23rd, Ben Kinney alongside Dan Stoccaro. And towards the back of the field, boy, these guys have got some work to do. Richard Wolsifer, Dakota Bly, Sam Dyer, and Caden Perkins. And then finally, Robert Moyer Jr. brings up the caboose here tonight. Just got word, by the way, that Ronnie Norman Jr. could not make tonight's race because a semi-driver wiped out a pole. We're not getting extra pacing. Uh-oh. They lied to us, Zach. They didn't give it to us. Here we go. We're going to go racing.
They gave it to us. They gave it to us. It's been extended like they're still on the pace car. It's coming back out.
Well, last second there. That's okay. Let's turn the music back up then for a second. Boy, Zach, you mentioned you have a pick for tonight's race in Kevin Baumler. We're working on something in the background to make that a little more official. Is there anybody else you've got your eye on, though? I mean, I certainly have my pick from the fantasy game, of course, of Coulter Clark to win. I think he is one to watch. I think certainly the other Toyota drivers towards the front, Gray Walker, Brendan Maddox, Dustin Stallings, Jordan White, even they all got to be watched too. Anybody else piquing your interest?
Not at the moment, but give me like 50 laps and I'll figure it out.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Making picks super early, man. It's hard for me to gauge.
Well, the field will get set and go racing here in just a couple of moments. We kind of rushed the grid and stuff there. Didn't think we'd get the lap, but excuse me, 29 cars to go racing here this evening. They're getting stacked up again, and we'll give it a shot. We've got some fun cameras to go through and hope to use them all here at some point this evening. But into turns 3 and 4 for the renewal by Anderson 175 here at Dover Motor Speedway. Now we'll turn the music down and turn the engines up. Dover Motor Speedway, virtual Dover, Delaware, coming to life with Coulter Clark on pole. We're going to go racing for 175. We are green from Dover Downs. Alrighty, several cars getting the wall on lap number 1. Brendan Maddox, maybe the highest profile of the drivers to hit it. He got it pretty good there, racing for the top spot.
Maddox falling in line right behind Coulter Clark. First side-by-side battle is Jordan White and Gray Walker off of turn number 2. Still side-by-side, rolling down the backstretch. Walker trying to stay in there. Jordan gets clear. Now single file amongst the top 5.
Single file all the way through just about the entire top 10. The first side-by-side really are Zach Maddox and Jacob Quayle. A few cars dive around in the corner, though, and, of course, change things up. Christenberry alongside Johnny Wood Jr. now down the back straightaway to turn number 3. Christian Barrow on the outside in that number 11. You see Conover poking his nose into the top 10 behind. He would like to get it done 2 nights in a row on Pit Stop TV, but that's going to be a tall order.
We'll have to wait and see. Gray Walker goes quickest, as he currently sits behind Jordan White. These guys rolling up off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. It's just a nice sight to see with how these cars roll around Dover. I was so tempted to say Bristol for a moment.
Side-by-side fight here for 6th. Scott Fritz, Josh Parent. If Josh completes this pass, and he will, that is now 6 Toyotas at the front of the field commanding this race, followed by a couple of Chevrolets and a Ford, and then another Toyota in 10th. That's Carl Pooler. So already the Toyota gang has got themselves figured out, whether it's Maverick Motorsports, Spirit Racing, Blackbird Motorsports. We've got a bunch of them at the front, and then Zach Maddox is not far back. He's in 11th, Jacob Quayle in 13th. Another Toyota in, let's see, Cameron Taylor down at 21st. They are really commanding this race so far.
It's a Toyota takeover at the front of the field, really.
Side-by-side for second. Jordan White on the inside of Brendan Maddox.
I feel like Brendan's going to let him have it here, but Gray wants to poke his nose in there to try and prevent Brendan from keeping the spot. Give him a little shove down the back straightaway.
Maddox is getting eaten up right now. I shouldn't say eaten up. But Jordan got by him pretty quick, and Gray Walker took a look to his inside. It's making the 23 look like maybe he's not prioritizing short run, and that's okay at a place like Dover. The problem is, you aren't necessarily going to get that long run. I mean, if we get a long run, you need to prioritize that long run pace, Zach, but I wouldn't always count on long run racing at a place like Dover Motor Speedway. That said, 8 laps now in the books. Pretty solid to start the day off.
You can see how much these guys are pushing on corner exit. Just looking at the RPMs, they're definitely picking the throttle up pretty early.
Here we go, race lead.
Jordan makes a move down to the bottom.
Jordan White poking his nose ahead. Who's going to have it at the stripe? Contact between these two. Clark, I think, led it the line. Dormagan into turn 1. They're teammates on Sunday morning in the All-American Racing Network, but tonight at Dover, Jordan White takes over.
To the race lead, number 83 car. Look at Josh Parent still fighting with Scott Fritz right behind them. Saw him down on the inside line. This is from the bumper cam of Coulter Clark looking back at Brendan Maddox. Scott Fritz, he's looking around the outside of Dustin Stallings.
He got back by Josh Parent to get to that spot and challenge the 00. But now Josh Parent, yeah, Josh Parent's now got problems in the form of the 75 car of Johnny Wood Jr. You know, each week we do the Who You Got post over on Facebook, and today our subjects were the 75 of Johnny Wood Jr. and the 5 of Adam Buzzio. A couple of guys who have a lot of wins to their record here in the BRB Sundance Pro Series were fantastic in fighting for the championship last season, but got poor starts last week at Daytona. Johnny currently in the 8th spot, up 3 spots since the start of the race. Adam Buzzio back here in 14th. That is where he started. He is not finding much ground yet here this evening. Oh my gosh, what is happening here?
I don't know what's happening, but I kind of like it. Close racing.
And the wall. Caught over to his inside, trying to take advantage. See Pooler and that was Zach Maddox actually passing Carl Pooler, so Zach Maddox into the top 10 in his career start to a season. Now Conover to the inside of Pooler. That is for 11th spot. Jacob Quayle just behind. Brady Moats in this conversation. Patinko's not far back. Kevin Baumler actually back here as well. Baumler down in 18th right now, Zach.
I wasn't expecting him to be that far down the running order.
It's where he started, but
my picks.
I don't know. Give it some time. We have this 50-lap stage 1 for these guys to try and make some ground up, earn themselves some early points, but Give it some time, a long ways to go. As look at this, 3 wide in turn 1. Moat on the inside of Buzzio. Throw in Kyle Clank. He was on the top side of that, and Conover now is headed the wrong direction. He has fallen behind Pooler, behind Quail, and now to the front bumper of Kyle Clank. We've got a lot of great racing. Look at this. Smith, Baumler, Patinko, Wolsifer as Conover and Clank have a moment. They are getting racy.
Conover's going to stay clear of Kyle Clank, and Buzzio's going to fall in line. Be patient, gentlemen. It's lap 17. I say that, and Clank is looking around the outside of Conover once again. Can't quite get there. Taps the wall. One of the big things we're going to see, Andrew, is just that excessive pushing on the right front on corner exit. It's one of the big characteristics here in Dover. It's one of the few tracks that you see that isn't exactly narrowing up on corner exit, but it feels like it does.
We certainly run out of room. You know, the racing line exits right up that hill, straight to the wall, and you've got to be absolutely precision perfect not to hit it. Look at this. Jordan White has set sail. How much of this, though, is short run speed versus long run speed as he drives away from the field by 1.5 seconds over Coulter Clark and Brendan Maddox. Dustin Stallings now in 4th, Gray Walker in 5th. Boy, is it going to be that career night and first win for Jordan?
You never know. It could happen. One, that's a lap car. No, that's Jordan. That's a big lead right there. That threw me off for a second. I thought that was a lap car coming up. I thought they were much closer together.
And then we saw all of this into turn 3 that last time around. Buzzio working through the field. Conover side by side with Cody Smith. 2 pit stop TV cars side by side. Smith will go by. There goes Clank. Conover just trying to tread water right now. Of course, he won in the 03 Cup car race last night for the Nora Retro Cup Series. That was at Darlington. That's a driver's track. So is this here at Dover. But Conover's speed from Darlington in the Cup car, the 03 Cup car, not translating right now into the ARCA car here at Dover. He is, again, treading water, just trying to stay up there with these guys. And again, Zach, there's something to be said. You know, is this short run versus long run? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe, as that was close off of turn 4. And there goes the front bumper from Conover's car.
Where did that go?
That's going to be huge for Josh. That's all the front grip gone out of that number 40.
It's going to be a lot of front end downforce loss on that race car.
I saw right where it happened, but I did not think that should have broken the bumper off the car. Watch this off of turn 4. He's just going to get up. Barely gets to 31, and it's, you know, a product of the 31 hitting the wall, a product of just the corner exit here. I'm really shocked that completely sheared the bumper off, and you know, I'm more shocked if we're going to have that happen. Why don't we get a caution for debris? iRacing. Wow.
I don't even understand it myself, to be perfectly honest. That is weird.
You know, you sent a message that kind of caught my eye earlier in our team chats of the damage model being a big part of tonight's race, and clearly it is for Josh Conover. As
I tell ya,
White grabs the wall there out of turn 4, but now second place is Brendan Maddox. He's gotten himself back ahead of a couple of cars, and now is racing here side by side with his teammate in Dustin Stallings. This is interesting that these two are racing like this so early, but hey, stage points matter, not just for the team, but for your own sake as a driver.
Stallings is going to roll on by here, and Maddox is going to settle into the 3rd spot. Even while fighting, those two have actually closed the gap a little bit on Jordan White. The gap was about 1.7 seconds. It's now down to 1.3. So that leads me to believe that Jordan is still not prioritizing tire saving. And this is actually one thing that I was talking to Jordan about not too long ago, just Sunday night, about how best to preserve the tires and keep that car underneath them. He's got a lot of fighting to do now as Stallings is going to start reeling him in.
He's got lap traffic ahead. You see Dan Stockero up the road. And if you look at the lap times for the top 4 lately, There you see Jordan White, 24.209. That is 4/10 slower than us in Stallings last lap. Maddox kind of right in the middle. And Clark a little bit faster than both White and Maddox each of the last 2 laps. So White picked up that lap, kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit as Stockero has gone that first lap down. But White, now I think realizing the game here is Maddox will have to deal with the 27 now. Clark gets by. They all get by safely. And that did slow Stallings and Maddox down slightly, Zach, but I still think we're onto something here. I think White's going to get caught before the end of the stage.
Well, we've got a long way to go.
Caution!
Oh, caution!
That'll change things up. Carl Pooler, turn number 3. Problems for the Colorado native. Just gets bad. Well, this goes from bad to worse, really, for Carl. Not a great start last season, or last week, rather, for the season. He's got a lot of damage to that 71 already.
Not gonna be good for Carl Pooler.
This is going to help Josh Conover get back in the race a little bit. Let's see what happens here.
It's more gonna help Jordan White cool those tires down too.
That was a case of not clear down the backstretch, it looks like. Gonna look at it from Brady Mote's perspective, but that was Brady right behind him in the 44, and here's his look at it. Brady's going to have a run and take it to the outside of Carl. And then Carl comes up trying to shut the door and just didn't realize, I think, that he was there.
Spatial awareness sometimes. The spotter will usually let you know when you have a car on your outside. Sometimes it's a little bit of a misjudgment, though.
Really hate that for Carl this early in the race and the season. As this throws a wrench in everybody's stage 1 plans, this completely changes the game. A lot of drivers are pitting. A lot of guys are keeping their track position, though. First driver to come in this pit stop cycle is going to be Johnny Wood Jr. He pits, exits into the 16th spot. It looks like it might be a 2-tire change for Johnny, which really surprises me. With the limited sets, I don't feel like you have a set that you can expend without going for all 4. Unless you take lefts. I suppose if you go for lefts, maybe you could make this work, but let's go back a little bit and see Johnny's stop. You see him actually there in the foreground. He takes rights.
Sorry, I was a little quiet there. I was listening to race control.
Rights only.
Penalty for Carl Pooler, apparently.
Well, that would be for the cause of the caution.
Yep. I was like fully enveloped in listening to that, so I was kind of quiet there. But Carl Pooler has since excused himself from the rest of the race. He's parked it and called it a day.
So Pooler is done here early. He'll get passed up by the number 27 of Dan Stockero here shortly, as they are currently listed on the same lap. Stockero, though, in the pit lane, getting some extra service to his number 27. He will now slowly roll down the pits and get back out there, as Jordan White will bring us back to the green flag. The top 15 cars all stay out. That's White, Stallings, Clark, Maddox, Parent, Walker, Quayle, Christenberry, Maddox, Smith, Baumler, Motes, Patenko, Klenk, and Taylor. Your top 15 staying out under this caution. Let's check out this restart mid-stage 1 from the fan cam. Jordan White into the restart zone. Racing again, and the renewal by Anderson, 175. All over the place there on that bottom lane. And 1 lap complete from the restart. Just like watching those vantage points sometimes. Caution back out though. Caden Perkins around turn number 4 for the Storm Seeker number 6. Some severe weather out there in the United States this week, and some severe issues here for that Ford Mustang. Oh, watch out. And he'll lose a lap as well. That's not it. He's damaged.
2 tires up in the air for a second there, but now that the field has caught the 6 car, he's going to have to relegate himself behind the leaders. Take a quick look back at it. This is coming down the back straightaway. 3 wide in front of him. Oh, it just gets checked up. Runs right into the back of Robert Moyer Jr. and can't quite catch the car. Thankfully, nobody else ran into him, though.
It was a great miss, though. Potentially, and there, Murtis mega miss out of Josh Conover. See the checkup there. Contact between Lewis and Moyer.
Woo!
Big swerve out of Conover, and then Perkins just hit up into the outside wall. Let's back this up for Josh Conover in the 40. Check this out.
This is rolling up off of turn number 2. There you see the 3 wide in front. Perkins, that second car in line on the top. Hello.
Really, really close there for Josh Conover. And this is kind of his home track for the season. He's from South Jersey. And, oh boy, we got some more pit stops here, but not for the race leaders. The first driver pitting under this yellow is going to be Scott Fritz, back to the 48. He pitted under the previous caution, so I wonder if this is some damage repair for the 48. Conover back in as well. Of course, he had the damage to the nose. By the way, Pooler back in the session, it looks like. Zach might get back out there at some point today. But of course, having some trouble here. And William Maple has lost a lap somehow. Unsure as to exactly how that has happened as Dan Stockero comes back into the pit lane himself. I was mentioning that Josh Conover is from South Jersey. And I just want to highlight something really quick. Because speaking of Jersey, this racetrack, Dover, Delaware, not far from New Jersey at all. And I'm curious if you know about this particular food item, Zach, but there is a food item called pork roll. Now, in some places, and I'm told in South Jersey and into places like New York even, into like Pennsylvania, it's known as Taylor ham. Do you know what Taylor ham is?
Never heard of it in my life.
Well, you don't like Waffle House either, so who knows, but it's a delicacy up there. My fiance, Kayla Rondeau, she is from New Jersey. She has introduced me to it. I'm a follower of the way that is pork roll, I gotta say. And, boy, the broadcast prep ran right into dinner time here this evening in the household. So we made sure Drew was all taken care of, but we didn't eat dinner. She just brought me a pork roll sandwich. So, Zach, with that information, I'm going to leave this in the hands of you for the restart, and I'm going to chow down really quick as we get back racing with 12 laps to go in stage number 1. Jordan White still your leader, but he's gone bottom side this time.
He does get lane choice to decide where he wants to lead this race back to the green flag. Dustin Stallings going to line up on the outside. Coulter Clark, Brendan Maddox, Josh Parent, and then Coulter Clark. Or no, I already said Coulter Clark. Gray Walker, your top 6, first 3 rows. And as they roll into the restart zone, green flag back in the air. We are green flag racing once again at Dover. Stallings throws it down into the corner. Jordan White covered off that 0-0. And a big run up on the top side for Brendan Maddox back up to the 2nd spot. That was a hair-raising restart. Josh Parent to the inside of Coulter Clark. That's going to be your fight for 4th as they come back around and take 11 laps to go on the stage. Parent may lose a couple of spots here as Gray Walker goes to the outside of that 22 car. Gets clear in turn 2. Now single file racing. It's all up to Maddox to chase down Jordan White here.
Zach, I
The
wonder,
gap closing, ever so.
is there a restriction on lane changes on restarts? Because that was a blatant lane change out of Jordan White.
I'll have to check with race control.
He was up in front of the 0 before the start-finish line, then pulled back down in front of Stallings into turn 1. And, you know, I know these guys work together, but I can't imagine Dustin was too happy with that. Seemed like Dustin may have given him a bit of bumper there into turn 1. Yeah. There you go. 8 laps to go, rather 9 laps to go in the stage. That time by Cody Smith on the outside of Jake Christenberry. And, you know, I was thinking to myself, I do put some thought into stuff I might say for the race, whether it's my intro or just what I might say coming to green flag or towards the end of the race. And Zach, I'll be honest, one of the lines I thought about was the fact that this is kind of the first real chance we will get to see these guys with this new field, new drivers, new teams on a real racetrack, as Kyle Busch might say. This is the first litmus test. And already, the Toyotas have got things covered, of course. White out front. Oh, watch out! Oh, Dan Stockero slow off of turn 4. They all pile in. Maddox, Stallings, and Clark all get damaged. I think White even got some. Stallings has no front bumper. Oh my gosh, watch this fight.
Look at Brendan Maddox right front, cleaned out. He's still trying to chase down Jordan White. They're 3 wide.
Multiple
Josh
rows
Perrin
deep.
on the bottom.
There goes Cody Smith, the
is coming
fourth.
through the middle.
Cody Smith just right through the 22 and 00 to 4th place. Here comes Jacob Quayle through the middle. Gray Walker's down there. Stallings is getting bullied out of the way. Now Buzzio's checking up. Baumler checks up. Oh my gosh, how things change. 3 wide again down here with Buzzio and Fritz. Jacob Quayle contact there with Gray Walker off of turn 4. Smoke into the corner.
Made contact with Christenberry.
Wow.
Caden Perkins coming out of the pit lane, staying low and slow for the lead lap cars. Ooh, Adam Buzzio, a little bit of contact right there.
So Buzzio and Wood had the tires. Buzzio and Wood had the tires. Maddox into the wall that time off of 4. He's checking up big time. A lot is going on here, folks. This is going to be a busy few final laps of the stage. It's going to be Jordan White and Coulter Clark to decide it, but everything else yet to be figured out. Johnny Wood falling back. Moats down low 3 wide. Fritz up top. This is the craziest stage end I've seen on a speedway in a long time.
Here comes Buzzio.
Moats backs out. Buzzio down low. Baumler down there. Maddox is falling down. Maddox down out of the top 10. Buzzio, the final car, in the top 10. 2 laps to go this time by. And this blimp is getting a workout.
Brendan Maddox went on the stage, so that's going to be a no-go on my fantasy lineup. But Gray Walker to the inside of Josh Parent. That's going to be for the 4th spot at the moment, as Coulter Clark is trying to reel in Jordan White.
Stallings. Taylor, caution is out. Big problems there. Jordan White is your stage 1 winner in the number 83. How about that for the Jamaican sensation? Talk about him winning the All-American Racing Network. Watch out. Talk about him winning the All-American Racing Network race here back in February on Pit Stop TV. Now he kicks off the BRB race here with a stage win. That's big. But what might be a little bit larger right now, honestly, is a former BRB champion crashed here early, and we saw everything going on leading up to this and how he got the damage. It was from the lap car of Dan Stockero. I'm trying to get back to that, actually, if I can. That's what kicked all of this off, and I don't think it was even anything that Dan did wrong. He's already behind it, so I'm going to go even back a little bit further. This is going to be hard to find. So here we go. Leaders are catching him. It's going to be this time off of turn 4. I mean, he's just slow off of turn 4. He gets the wall. I think Jordan got by, but Maddox ramped all over the left rear of that number 27, and Stallings had nowhere to go. That's really going to hurt those two guys all the rest of this race. Now, if we go back and look at the incident for just the 00 here in a second, bear with me. A lot of jumping around, but we will get there, I promise. One more reset. I promise we're getting there. We found it. Here is the issue for Dustin Stallings and Cameron Taylor off of turn 4.
Ooh, Stallings just grabbed the wall and round she went.
Brutal hit. And Dustin's been very open lately about his troubles lately on iRacing. Just can't find a groove. And this is doing the opposite of finding a groove here. Off the corner, boom, into the wall. That's a really, really brutal hit. Ben Kinney has stayed out under this caution. He's currently the race leader. Johnny Wood Jr., it seems, took fuel only to cycle to second. Scott Fritz, 2 tires to go to third. But Jourdain White will line up back here in the 4th spot. We talked to him in pre-race. Let's dial him up one more time. If I can get down to him. There we go, down on the Spirit Racing channel. Let's just bring him in. Jourdain, stage win here at Dover. We've talked a lot about your win here in the All-American Racing Network back in February. That had to lay the groundwork for this, I would say, right?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from that league. That was my first one on Pit Stop TV. And then this is my second stage win on Pit Stop TV in BRB as well. And hopefully we can cap it off with a win. And thanks to all the guys that voted for me to win the stage in fantasy. Happy to make you guys win something.
Certainly a big start to the day. Do we think this can possibly lead to, we'll just say a podium to be conservative? Think we can get a podium out of this one?
Maybe. We'll see. I just got to keep head down. Thank you to MX Raps and Pit Stop TV, Premier Racing Setups, all those guys. They gave me fast race cars, Spirit Racing, and maybe top 3. Let's see. Let's get this restart rolling.
Hey, good to talk to you, Jourdain. Best of luck. Going to be a chaotic restart here. Ben Kinney on the front row. He's leading us into the restart zone, Zach. He stayed out under this caution. Let's see what he can do from the front row. Going to be Johnny Wood Jr. over his right shoulder, then Scott Fritz behind him. Jourdain White in row 2 as well. Green flag. We're racing into stage 2. Kinney going backwards on those old tires. We kind of knew that would happen. That puts Johnny Wood Jr. out front here in the Renewal by Anderson 175. He, of course, is carrying those Renewal by Anderson colors, so that's got to feel good for him, but this is a great fight for a 4th spot. Now Scott Fritz inside of Cody Smith.
Side by side down the back straightaway. Into 3 and 4. Ooh, pushing up the racetrack just a little bit is Scott Fritz. Kind of dominating the corner a little bit, but they'll stay side by side on the 4.
Josh Parents view here to turn 1. Fritz into the middle. He takes out the 1. Big hit for Cody Smith. That was just never going to work. He's in the wall big time. Gets it back off the wall and back in traffic here alongside Richard Wolsifer. That was a big, big moment there in turn 1. And definitely some big damage on the 1 car.
Going backwards in a hurry. That's some big time contact.
Gonna look back at this. This will be from the vantage point of turn 1. Down the front stretch. Cody Smith on the outside. Fritz went low. Kinney was there. And Fritz just went middle. And I mean, he just misjudged that completely. That is complete driver error on Scott there. He just ended up going straight through the left rear of Cody Smith. Certainly not intentional, but it happened as lead change. Jourdain White is right back around the 75. That didn't take long.
Well, Johnny stayed out under the caution flag, didn't he?
Fuel only.
Okay, he had taken tires under the first caution, so I think he's probably wanting to save a set then. So on board here with Jake Christenberry, one of our NORA Retro Cup Series drivers that we had the pleasure of seeing tried to run some strategy on Monday night. Wonder if he can try to run a little bit better strategy tonight. He was one of the early pitters in the early stages of the race, Andrew, and well, he's keeping pace like he did last night. Just got to make sure he can keep that pace up. As they roll, Conover working his way back up through the field after that front nose came off on that race car. He is now sitting behind Richard Wolsifer, fighting with Cody Smith, who went further backwards after that contact with Scott Fritz. See Conover backing out a little bit, but slowly working his way back up towards the front of the field. Big run off of turn number 4 by Cody Smith. Looks like he wanted to jump that car back down to the bottom line. Pushing up the racetrack ever so slightly. Real close contact there with Richard Wolsifer.
I don't know if Cody Smith knows the 48 and 56 are teammates, but certainly gave the 56 some trouble there in turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, I want to single this guy out quickly. We've been talking about him a lot tonight. Josh Conover. He is going to be the recipient of today's MX Raps Best in Show vote win. So I guess I'll take that. That feels good. It is very slightly, by the way, over the 4 of Coulter Clark. So I almost feel like maybe that's a bigger win for Coulter, but he's racing side by side with Johnny Wood Jr., so it could be an actual win for Coulter here tonight as he charges to position number 2.
Rolls right on by Johnny Wood Jr. Now Josh Parent has caught up along with Scott Fritz and Adam Buzzio. They're mostly single file as they roll down into turn number 1, but you see a lot of them taking that higher line, not running all the way down on the bottom. Finding where the grip is as this race goes on.
15 laps complete here in stage 2, this time by. That includes the caution laps from the stage break. Jordan White right behind the 23 of Brennan Maddox. Kind of held Jordan up big time that corner, actually. He lost a lot of time down in 1 and 2. Again, I mean, these guys they aren't teammates directly, but to lay out the lore, I guess, Maverick Motorsports is the team that Mason Houseman most recently raced on for a championship. And he won that championship in Season 3 after winning it in Season 2 with Limitless Esports, which now became 6-5. So, he's the connection over to Spirit Racing because Mason Houseman now owns part of Maverick Motorsports and also owns Spirit Racing. It's very complicated. And Maverick Motorsports is basically the Maddox brothers. Brendan Maddox, Zach Maddox, Dustin Stallings, and now Carl Pooler. They are affiliated with Spirit Racing, which is the 83 of Jordan White, the 22 of Josh Parent, and the 25 of Jacob Quayle. So they're affiliated. They aren't direct teammates, but they work together a lot. And certainly I would think they're going to be in communication in some regard. They're not in the same Discord channel, but it's interesting that Maddox held his ground as staunchly as he did, especially being 7 laps down. But he does not want to go any further down to this 83 or anybody else for that matter. So he's trying to hold his ground, get back into some decent pace, and get back on his way as Jordan White is now about 20 laps into this fuel run. And his tires are stagnating. So hopefully that is a somewhat sensible description of the lore, Zach. I mean, there is a lot to it. And actually, to expand on that, we're now told in YouTube chat there's no more alliance between Maverick and Spirit, which is that much more interesting as...
I'm sorry, what?
Last I knew, Mason Houseman had a stake in both teams. It's just the way it goes. As well, here we go, battle for third. Josh Parent looks to the inside of Johnny Wood Jr. This is a battle for the third spot that is wrapped up pretty quickly. Maybe. Johnny Wood looks back around the 22, no dice here into turn 3.
He took a look, but I think Johnny was right to be pretty patient there with Josh and give himself some breathing room. Don't want to be fighting too much and burning out those tires, especially when you want to go try to catch Jordan White, who currently has a 1.7 second lead over Hunter Clark. And then it's another 0.7 seconds from Clark to Parent. No lap traffic in between the third and second place cars, but definitely some lap traffic up ahead. You've got Dan Stock Carroll right behind. And then Brendan Maddox right in front.
You see Parent, Wood, Fritz, and Buzzio. These are some great drivers themselves here in this series. Buzzio and Wood, again, they were on the Who You Got post over on Facebook, and I felt like, you know, I get to select who's on there, realistically, and I felt like they were two guys that, again, we watch them typically contend for wins or at least top fives here in the series. They did not get good starts to the season last week at Daytona. Here they are now. You know, I was a little concerned by Adam being deeper in the field earlier, you know, as low as 18th. But he's making me look a whole lot better now as they're going to be fighting for 5th place here. Johnny Wood on the inside, Buzzy around the outside. And the 5 will take over 5th. Meanwhile, some battling here in the midfield. Josh Conover, Richard Wolsifer, Zach Maddox, Kyle Clank. Side by side still down the back stretch. Clank will back out. And this is now the vantage point from our Daytona race winner. How about that? That's still so cool to say with Zach Maddox's name attached. He's also the points leader coming into this evening. I don't know that that's going to hold, but I would expect him to still be towards the top 5. He's putting a pretty solid run together, 15th now as Clank goes by. Obviously would like to be a little farther north, but somebody's got to run 15th, right?
True. Somebody's got to run everywhere on the racetrack. Zach Maddox, I mean, he's had some consistent runs here and there, so it's nice to see that he is finally breaking through and getting that first race win, especially at Daytona, the first race of the season. Best place to win it in a lot of drivers' eyes, but once again, riding on board here with Christenberry in the top 10. This is Carl Pooler coming back into the pit lane. He is many laps down, currently sitting 10 laps down. I thought he had gone more, but looks like 10 down right now as he rolls back through the pit lane and he's going to bring it into the box. Maybe stopping for service, and I think he stayed out to get a lap back under the caution. Yes.
He's getting some kind of service at the very least, and you know, we don't really have a great read on how long these guys can go to a run, Zach, as there's some great battling here now with Fritz, Buzzio, Quayle, Wood, Baumler even in the 10 car. He's in the top 10, as is Brady Motes now. So some action picking up here throughout the top 10. We don't know when these guys need to pit, but I would think we're going to need at least 2 stops. You know, we're about 30 in now, so even 60 from here would not get us all the way to the end. We've got about 95 laps to go.
We're actually going through this race fairly quickly.
Don't say that. Knock on wood.
Okay, even with the 2 cautions, it has still been a relatively decent race. 3 cautions. We had 3 cautions? I thought we had 2. This is the first one. Oh, it was Pooler, and then it was Perkins, and then it was Stallings. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I was tripping there for a second.
Yeah, 3 cautions so far. You see the race stats brought to you by CC's Business there, bottom right of your screen. And I think the favorite thing for me on this graphic here is you can see how many laps we've completed and how many laps we have to go very clearly there, right? So we're getting closer to halfway. That'll be at about 5 more laps. maybe even 4. So that will be, well, it won't really be anything significant, right? But we'll have 3 cautions here in the first half. Who knows what the second half will bring? And we still don't know exactly how far these guys can go. But they had 125 at the drop. They want to hit, if they can, 63, right, in the stage. That would split it down the middle, the 125 from the beginning here of stage 2 to the end. So we're kind of looking for about 62, 63 laps. And of course they had the couple of caution laps as well, so really they're looking for 60. So if they can run to about 115, they are golden to the end. That's still 30 laps away. As Ben Kinney's at the racetrack, he has gone a lap down, and he is getting passed up big time. He's in the wall. So trouble for the 41 car here.
I've just been letting him go there to get himself back in line.
Next up to go a lap down would actually be Cole Lewis. He's 15 seconds behind the race leader, running in 20th. Sam Dyer next up the road in that number 35. We had a recommendation to look at his car, and it certainly is something worth looking at as he runs in the 19th spot. Robert Moyer ahead of him in 18th. These guys about 12 seconds behind the leaders. And then Cody Smith with his damage in the melee earlier. He is 17th now, 10 seconds off the pace as Wolsifer and Maddox run side by side. Richard Wolsifer, Zach Maddox in this case. This is kind of muscling for the final spot in the competitive positions. Oh my golly, that was close.
That was really close. There was Ben in that 41 car coming off of turn 4. He stayed real low and slow. I heard Cody Smith call out that he was going to be hitting to the pit lane. Heard that over driver communication, so looks like pit stops might be starting a little early, Andrew. There's Cole Lewis as well into the pit lane.
Yeah, I told you what they want to hit. That doesn't mean they will. Lewis, Smith, and now Kinney all come in here. There has been Kinney in the 41, slowly trundling down the pit lane. Leader Jordan White has gotten himself a lead of about 2.2 seconds, still right behind the 23. I think this is going to be a 2-stop second stage, as I mentioned earlier, which means, Zach, if they're going to split this evenly, they're due in the pit lane in the next 10 laps.
Well, if your name's Brendan Maddox, you want to see that leader hit to the pit lane sooner rather than later, and then see a caution flag come out during the pit cycle so you can get some laps back, as Kyle Clank is going to roll that 31 car off of the pit lane and back out onto the racetrack, spending about 14 seconds in the box. So that's looking like 4 tires for that race car. One car rolling out, that's Ben Kinney, 15.02 seconds, so a little slower, but still making good time. There's Carl Puller back on the racetrack. He is currently 11 laps down.
And then back to Jordan White. Again, I think within the next 5 laps or so, we see at least a leader come in. I'm thinking these guys can go probably 55-ish. Maybe not fully to 60. There's a caution. That's going to change things. Scott Fritz. Oh, and Jake Christenberry involved. More contact. Fritz goes for a spin after the fact. They're still trying to miss him. And the 48 has seen better days, that's for sure. Here off of turn 4, William Maple on the outside. Fritz had to try and miss, and, well, Baumler was there. Moat's some trouble. Christenberry is a part of it.
I think there was a little bit of netcode right there. There was some communication over the driver radio that Fritz had blinked out for just a moment, and I think that's kind of obvious there on the replay, but Maple hits the wall.
Nothing Baumler could have done. You know, he sees the opportunity to maybe use that lap car as a pick. But really, I think even with the closing rate, there's really not much those guys could have done. Maple was just that much slower off the corner.
I don't think he had enough time to react, to be truthfully honest. There wasn't too much, like you said, that Walmer could have done. He was already making the move.
It's really hard to run the outside here as a lapped, slower car, because as Gray Walker got into Kyle Klink there right in the end of all of that, but the corner entry or the corner exit just kind of runs out really, really quick before you're ready for it to. You don't even know what's going to happen, and suddenly you're in the wall. And the track, I don't think the track narrows up at all. It's just the way the racing line is with the banking and everything, it spits you out all the way to the wall. And the racing line is what narrows up. I think the track stays the same width, Zach, but the racing line itself narrows up as the race off the pit lane will put the 83 back out ahead of the 4, the 5, and the 22. This is a different era in this series, I'll tell you what. Jordan White dominating here at Dover, Coulter Clark second. I don't know if these old heads of the series were ready for this, but these two have been impressing on Sunday mornings lately, while BRB was in the chase and then in their off time between seasons, and these two have been racing weekly in Cup cars together in the All-American Racing Network, and I'll tell you, they have been impressive to me, and they're continuing that here this evening. As I think, frankly, Zach, if we were to take a poll right now, they would have to go at the top of who is in the mix to win this thing. We've seen trouble for Brendan Maddox, trouble for Scott Fritz, trouble for Dustin Stallings, trouble for so many drivers that we thought would be in the mix, but these two are the one, or I guess that gets the two constants so far.
I think you're right. It is kind of surprising to see some of these guys run up towards the front that we didn't really see up towards the front last season. It's a bit of changing of hands. It's not uncommon in racing, but it's a nice sight to see.
Well, here we go, inside of 80 laps to go. This will be a one stop to the end for these guys. Question is, where do you place that stop in this race, as the caution has just been extended? Looks like Ben Kinney might have had trouble. Under the yellow flag, the 41 has gone around. Here's a look at it from his perspective. Something tells me they checked up in a hurry ahead of him, and sure enough, he wasn't ready, got on the binders, right around. And so we'll take one more trip around the racetrack here, Zach, under caution. While these guys do so, let's take a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pitstop.TV. The next, not quite week of racing here listed out in front of you. Wednesday, tomorrow night, we've got the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series headed out to Lucas Oil Speedway. Word on the street is Rusty Rafferty is going to attempt that race. We'll see if Richard Wolsifer goes back at it. 410 Sprint Cars at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. Should be a lot of fun. Open setups. Going to be a hoot. And then Thursday evening, it's the Suzuka Circuit for the North American Racing League GT3 AM field. We'll see if we can get Maddox, Skinner, Wolsifer, all those BRB guys into that race. Mason Hausman, he's been a lot of fun to watch over there on Thursdays lately. And then Sunday, the All-American Racing Network rolls into Texas, the Lone Star State, for an MX Wraps powered show at Texas Motor Speedway. Should be a lot of fun. For now, though, we've got cars about to go back. Green flag racing. Jordan White, Coulter Clark, the front row. Restart on the way again here at Dover. Saw Coulter Clark move around, coming to the line of the restart. I guess that tells us, Zach, that there is no restriction on making those lane changes. And how about this? Spirit Racing has now got themselves 1-2 now in front of the field. Last week it was Maverick with the win in second place, as Conover gets blocked by Johnny Wood all the way to the inside wall, it felt like, into turn 1.
That was a pretty big block down into turn number 1, and Gray Walker is sitting back there waiting to see if something happens between the two of them, but Conover is going to push that 40 car on by Pit Stop TV colors, flying by Johnny Wood Jr. And he's going to take a look down to the inside. He's not going to be as patient as he was as when Josh Parent passed him up on the back straightaway. So it's going to be a little bit of back and forth here between the 75 and the 40.
Johnny Wood Jr. back ahead of Josh Conover. And they run down the front stretch. Adam Buzzio to the inside of Coulter Clark. This a fight for 3rd position. Brady Moats in the conversation. Johnny Wood Jr. now as well. Very close for 3rd spot.
Still side by side, down to 1.
If Adam can get this spot, Zach, this might tie the highest that we've seen a non-Toyota so far in this race. We have seen Smith get up into 3rd, and I think Scott Fritz maybe into 3rd at one point. Johnny Wood Jr., well, he's led some races, that's right. Or some laps, rather. He's led some laps already, but I don't think we've seen a Ford north of 3rd yet today. I know a Chevy has gotten a little higher up. I don't think a single Ford has gone further forward than the 3rd position so far in this race. Let's see if Adam can change that. Maybe even Josh Conover or Brady Moats right behind.
Well, you talk about them. They're right there.
Oh, real tight.
You've got Conover, Johnny Wood Jr., Brady Moats, a Chevy and 2 Fords that could potentially go up there and take the fight to him. Right now it's still top 3 Toyota, but Buzzio on the bottom, he gets clear. No, actually, that's Parent. Excuse me, I'm getting confused with the red and black. There was a big wiggle there, so I thought Buzzio got clear. But he is trying to push himself forward.
Beating and banging off the side of the 4 car of Coulter Clark. These guys in lockstep formation right now, just going through the motions. That time by was 70 to go. And here comes Johnny Wood Jr. He wants to win this thing. Contact from underneath. That's Adam Buzzio getting to the side of the 75 car. Still super tight here in the top 5. Josh Conover backs out for now. Down to the 6th position. And they're single file in the top 3. Single file most of the way through the field this lap. But that does not tell the full story. There are battles all over, including, look at this, Zach Maddox back into the top 10. He's putting pressure here on Evan Patinko. How about these two battling for a couple of top 10 spots?
Nice to see them running up there in the top 10. We saw Patinko a little bit further down the running order earlier on in the race. And Maddox to the inside. With Brendan out of the top 10, that leaves Zach Maddox trying to defend his points lead. Leaving Daytona, he is the points leader, if I'm not mistaken. I was not present for Daytona. He got the stage points.
Zach Maddox is the points leader.
Thank you.
Trey Walker is ahead of that 81 car, so the 1881 very close by. But out front, we are still very, very tight. Compared to what we've seen earlier in the race, I would say this is tight for the lead right now. Jordan White only about a half second ahead of his teammate in Josh Parent. Problems there in turn 4. Clark way up there. He got slow in the middle of the corner. Conover takes advantage. Wood, Moats, Walker. And Gray will let the 4 car back in. What happened down there?
Wonder if they just made contact.
Here's looking to turn 3.
So
Johnny Wood Jr.
Walker's already been passed by Buzzio.
Just tightens up into the 4. Great catch.
Really good catch.
Check this out.
Oh, look at those hands.
Wow. So a great catch there by Coulter Clark to hang on to that spot. Now he's racing with Josh Conover. He actually just got that spot back away. And Johnny Wood Jr. up into the 4th spot. Battle here. Brady Moats, Gray Walker. Boy, leave these guys for a second and things completely change.
Battles all over the racetrack.
We've got about 15, I'd say, competitive cars left in the race. That's, I mean, White through Wolsifer. I'd say Baumler is a little off the pace right now, unsure as to why. Never mind, he's got that front damage. That's right, from the incident with Fritz and such down the front stretch. He's got that front end damage. Fritz has damage. He's in 17th. They're the final 2 on the lead lap. Kyle Klenk currently 1 lap down. He's in 18th spot. I'm kind of confused as to why he is this spot, or this lap down. I wonder, I think he pitted actually right before the caution, and it trapped him a lap down. Cole Lewis also a lap down. Dakota Bly also a lap down. And Zach, I found out this is a throwback paint scheme for Dakota to Tim Richmond's 1982 car, it looks like. That's what we're told. So Dakota Bly running a throwback here on his number 88. I just like the look of it. I thought it was some cool vintage vibes, and I guess I was right. It's an actual throwback to a Tim Richmond paint scheme from the 80s. So good to see Dakota repping it this evening. And then Ben Kinney back here in 21st. He's 2 laps down. From there on, it's incident guys. And Maddox, Pooler, Taylor, Maple, and Stockero. 3 cars are out. Those are Cody Smith, Dustin Stallings, and Caden Perkins. And boy, Johnny Wood Jr. right on the inside here of Adam Buzzio. It's tight for 3rd.
Very tight, but makes it work. Hangs on to it. Conover inside of Coulter Clark trying to get that spot back.
Blink out there momentarily for Coulter Clark. That's okay. Side by side now for 3rd place. Adam Buzzio, Johnny Wood Jr. For reference, Zach, I think the pit window is going to open up with about, don't quote me on this exactly, but about 50 to go. That's going to be in about 6 more laps.
Just about.
Now, do you want to pit that early? I wonder if they can go to about 60 with the fuel limit they have, 70%. I wonder if they can go to about 60 as Clark and Wood are racing real close. That's the name of the game, I feel like, today. Just everybody very, very close. They get packed up like this. You can't really go anywhere. Dirty air kind of groups you all together, and you've really got to muscle a guy to get by him.
No, we saw just how Johnny Wood Jr. got by Coulter Clark.
And now Clark is back by him.
He is.
Oh. I was on board with Josh Connor right behind Johnny Wood Jr. off of turn 2. It tightens up.
Ooh, a little bit of contact right there going into 3.
And look who's right behind this, Brady Moats. He's kind of watching this, wondering if he can get by, hoping that his teammate doesn't get taken out. Contact there off of 4. You see him check up.
Enters middle, exits low to get a crossover move. Big run down the back. He stays in line with his teammate.
It's fun listening to these guys with their throttle inputs and such as Conover barely gets into the back of the 75 car. They get back single file. Johnny Wood winning that fight for now. And so the top 5 remains, capped off with that number 75 Chevrolet. Conover and Moats 6th and 7th. Walker 8th. Christenberry 9th. Rowan Patinko in the top 10. 50 laps to go this time by Zach, and I'm telling you, I feel like that is going to be the moment where the pit window kind of opens up for these drivers. So Jourdain, this time by the flag stand, the first to hit, 50 to go. Jourdain White leading a bunch of laps here today.
Letting the most laps. That's definitely locked up.
109 laps led out of the 125 complete. That's really impressive for this guy.
Most definitely.
He won stage
just
one.
Been lights out.
He won stage one. He's been leading just about the entire race so far today. Again, has that Dover win back in the All-American Racing Network. I'm going to keep going back to it because I felt like something was found that day for Jourdain when he found he really likes this place, really smooth here, because I think there's definitely different caliber in the groups of drivers between this league and that. I think these guys are maybe a little bit faster overall, but you still have to run all those laps cleanly, competitively, at that level, Zach, in order to be in that position to win that race. So regardless of the caliber of driver, he still had to execute, and he did all of that day. And that, I don't know, it made note in my mind to watch out for Jourdain White if we ever went to Dover in BRB, and sure enough, it's on the Season 6 calendar. We're racing here right now. So from that moment, it's like, all right, let's keep that in the back of my mind. 83 car at Dover might be worth it. I didn't pick him here today, but I definitely wish I would have.
Well, I know a number of people have picked Jourdain White, so
it's
going to be a real big kick in the fantasy.
Most of the players this week picked Jourdain White in some regard, whether it was just to win the race or for their points and to win, or just for their points, whatever combination. A lot of people chose Jourdain White, so clearly it was a mutual feeling out there. I mean, even, let's see, Mason Houseman chose him, although I don't think Mason did it quite right because Jourdain White was not in Group 3. But, I mean, the point remains. A lot of these guys, I mean, let's see, Super chose Jourdain for Stage 1. He actually got that on the money. A couple of Jourdain's friends, of course, chose him. Heck, even Dustin Stallings chose Jourdain White. And you know what? Jourdain bound himself to win, as you see a battle there with Josh Conover and Coulter Clark, but Jourdain even picked himself to win this race. And so far he's looking good on that. Yeah, he's making good on it, though, as now you see the battle evolving between the 475 and 44. As this race goes on, I want to give a big thank you to our partners here with the series, of course. Leading off that charge is, as always, Sundance Pizza. Donnelly and everybody over there does so much for this series. Gavin Rogers, the whole family, all making sure this series can happen, these broadcasts can happen. And we appreciate all they do at Sundance Pizza. Also, MXWraps.com, the presenting partner of our pre-race show, as Clark is ducking to the pit lane here, Zach. That was abrupt. This could kick the whole thing off. He's not alone. That's going to bring Gray Walker down. So those couple of drivers pit. Cole Lewis also pits. Watch the leaders now. A big thank you as well to Performance Food Group, RevSimShop.com, Whiplash SimCams, and CC's Business. The action has suddenly picked up. 40 to go this time by as Conover and Buzzio race off the corner.
Side by side. Two league owners in of themselves. Conover on the inside runs the Nora Retro Cup Series that we broadcast here on Pit Stop TV on Mondays, and Adam Buzzio, owner and operator of the BRB Sundance Pro Series, there running right behind Josh Parent. 3 forwards all on a line, trying to catch one Toyota that's been out front all race long.
I wonder if these guys didn't realize that the Ford just pitted. Cover it up. You're in the pit window. Hit the pit lane. There is Coulter Clark. Now they should realize that he is pitted. Cover the 4 car up. Pit.
Looks like they've got a plan in mind.
There's no way they go to the end. Absolutely no way. Battle, though, for this second spot. Josh versus Josh. Parent down low. Conover up top. Watch out! Coulter Clark underneath the 22. That's going to give the 40 a run.
This is getting dicey. Really, really dicey. Ben up the racetrack. Letting these guys go.
Buzzio pitted. Buzzio pitted that time.
He did it.
Heads up pit there from Adam Buzzio. I like it. I think it's still even too late versus the 4 car. But Buzzio is in. Parent and Conover still going after it. This is far from over between the two Joshes.
Gets a good run off of turn number 4. Takes a little peek. Conover down to the inside. Seeing what he can do on Josh Parent. Parent really covering off that nose.
They're still chasing Jourdain White. You can see him further up the racetrack. Right now, the battle is between these two for second place. A little nudge to the wall there from Conover. He dives back down to the inside of turns 1 and 2 there. You see Cole Lewis right behind. That's going to shake things up a little bit here. Gray Walker as well. Those two have pitted as we near 30 laps to go. In the pit lane now, Evan Patinko going to hit the pits. Lewis gets on by the 40, not quite. It's going to hold Conover up.
Here comes Gray Walker.
This is going to get hairy. And this is completely messing the 40 up. Oh, man, Lewis into the 22. That messes up Josh Parent. And Conover's going to get by. Or at least alongside.
Parent fights back up top.
A little bit of contact there. You're kidding me!
He's gonna make contact!
Well. That'll spice things up. Take a replay here. Conover a little bit up the racetrack here, a little bit of contact off the corner. Zach, I'm curious, what do you see?
It's a tough one, honestly. Because I've been listening into driver communication throughout this one, and from what I'm hearing, Conover is irritated with Parent for blocking him hard, and Parent said that he drove up into the wall and he was wheel spinning trying to catch the car. While that can be possible, it's hard to note that Parent just made a bit of a hard movement to the left. This is the onboard. Well, he's catching the wheel to the right as the car's moving left, so it's hard to say. But at the same time, we can't see correct wheel inputs because iRacing dictates them as setup adjustments.
Oh no, this is
so
still
we can't
accurate.
fully see what's going on.
The wheel input's still accurate. The only difference is the offset. And we don't get the offset part, but the movement that is made with the wheel is still correct. Let's take another replay here. I want to get the same shot. I'll slow it down again. You see Conover there on the inside, a little bit of contact off the corner right here. Parent did come back, but then came back left. I mean, I think it's probably better I save judgment. I'm curious what the masses think. I don't think my opinion would add anything constructive right now.
I'm just gonna let it roll. That's the best way that I can put it, is just let it roll. We'll leave it up to race control.
I'll be curious. Jordan White going to hang on to the race lead here. One car did stay out, but that's because Kyle Clank was getting the wave around, or the lucky dog in this case. This is going to put 13 cars on the lead lap. The first one lap down will be Zach Maddox, followed by Gray Walker, Kevin Baumler, Evan Matinko, all one lap down. Clank will get back out. And Jordan White. He's going to bring us back to the green alongside Johnny Wood Jr. and Jake Christenberry. Well, I guess alongside Johnny Wood Jr. in front of Jake Christenberry, who's alongside Josh Parent. The two Joshes will stay in the top 5. That's going to be interesting. Has there been an announcement of a penalty, Zach?
No action. Race control is deemed as a racing incident.
Oh boy. You know what? I'm a proponent that inaction is better than overreaction, so I like that call, I think. Let's see how this one goes with just inside of 30, now 29 to go. Back on the loud pedal, Jordan White, Johnny Wood Jr. racing to turn 1. Big block there from Johnny into turn 1. The top 3 getting away single file. We are very soon going to have some driver of the day conversations, rather. Here, Zach, and boy, the 75 is looking good. I just don't know that there's any case against Jourdain yet.
Nobody's been able to catch him just yet. Gonna have to find a way forward to get to that 83 car. Johnny Wood Jr. closing in. I'm pretty focused on 3rd and 4th on the scoring pylon, though. Parent and Conover, after their incident, no contest was made by race control. I'm sure those two are not exactly the most pleased with each other as they chase down the race leader.
There's 1st and 2nd. There's 3rd and 4th. Wolsifer 5th, then Christenberry and Dyer. Boy, Zach, I'm telling you, this Sam Dyer character, he is just putting these clean, quiet runs together, one after another, and he's starting to race more as we got a battle for the lead, actually. Wood and White side by side. I think that's the first time White's been straight up passed. This is shaking things up.
Parent now in line. On board with Conover, chasing down the top 3. You can throw a blanket underneath them, or over them. Jourdain trying to fall in, see if he can get up there to Johnny, but Parent's got a bit of a run. He's coming to him.
Pretty good suggestion out in the YouTube chat to just put the top 4 down as the driver of the day candidates. I'm not against that right now, Zach. I mean, that would be the loudest argument I've seen as you got teammates now swapping spots here. 2nd and 3rd, White versus Parent. These guys have had several moments the last season or two. I guess the last season, right? Because Jourdain ran rookie last season. They had a couple of moments together, but this time Jourdain White, I think, maybe has overdriven the car a little bit here, Zach. He's starting to look like maybe he doesn't have that speed that he had 100 laps ago.
Might be slipping away from him. Trying to keep up that speed that he has had all race long, and honestly, you might be right. We talked about him, we sung his praises, he's led the most laps on the day. He's got to find a way to keep it up and get back to him.
The top 3 starting to get away now. Wood, Parent, and White kind of leaving the 40 of Conover for the time being. Wolfsburg right behind, Christenberry 6th, and Sam Dyer. He is really looking good today. I don't know what it is about Dover that he's got figured out. We could be talking about him for a straight-up top 5 on pace. Behind him, it's Clark and Fritz battling for 8th. They're much further back. There's Clark. There's Fritz. Buzzio behind them with Moats and Clank. Those are great fights we got to keep watching as... You never know, we could have some more cautions. Look at that! We could have more cautions, and we get one. That is timing, if I've ever seen it. I'm not even going to call that one a... what is it, a jinx or anything, Zach? I don't think that's a curse. I said it as it happened. It was already happening before I even had the thought.
Chaos Bringer.
I am innocent, I'm telling you. Here's Cameron Taylor off the corner. Boom. Right in the back of Cole Lewis, who just had a rough day here at the office. They make contact on the front stretch. That is scary. Thankfully, nobody was behind that, or we could have had a lot more cars involved. Seeing a car go broadside middle of the racetrack at Dover, that just made my heart drop. Big hits, though, for these two.
Well, if you call Dover a self-cleaning racetrack, you just end up sliding on down to the bottom. Not really more, I want to say, not really much place for you to go, but you can save the race car. We have seen people save the race car before at Dover, notably Jimmy Johnson, what was it, 2006, 2007, where he was spinning at Dover on the front stretch.
And here we go, pits are open. Josh Conover faked it. At least I thought they were open. I mean, I know the lights, yeah, okay. It's open. The lights aren't always accurate. Coulter Clark, the first to come in. He's going to bring in Taylor, Walker, Moats. Taylor's lapped, but Walker and Moats are lead lap cars along with Clank. Yes, those are the ones that really matter out of that group that are pitting this time around. Baumler's a lap down, or I'd say him as well based on pace, but since his issue earlier, he has not been nearly as fast. Excuse me. Well, we're inside, and we're inside of 20 to go here, Zach. We are right down to the end. I think this is a good time to just go ahead and do driver of the day, I think.
I think...
You know the drill.
On the spot here.
Go ahead.
I think I'm going to take Jordan White for my first pick. I'm going to steal that one from you, and I mean, he's had a solid day. He's still top 3. I think he's got a good shot at getting it done, and then I think I'm gonna go outside the what's the word I'm looking for? Contemporary picks. I'm gonna go with Sam Dyer. I was eyeballing him before you pulled up positions gained, but you talked about him on race pace alone, potentially a top 5. I think it's achievable. He's been doing a really great job.
Well, that leaves Johnny Wood Jr. for the taking, and I know, as you know, for the day as a whole, yeah, Jourdain easily the most impressive today with all those laps led, but still 114, or not 114, 14 here for Johnny Wood Jr., and you know, he's adding to that total currently in the lead, and you know, I never seem to have much luck betting against the leader inside of 20 to go with a restart on a track like this, so Johnny Wood Jr., I do think is in the best spot right now to win this race. That doesn't mean he's guaranteed to win it, but at the moment I would say he's in the best spot. And, you know, kind of in the same vein as you, I'm going to go Richard Wolsifer because of the spots gained. I'll stay out of some of the rest of the top 5 politics right now and just go back a little bit. Richard Wolsifer up 20 positions or 19 positions, whatever it is, basically 20 since the start of the race into the front running here. The 56 is looking good, so here we go. Let's get back and restart formation. That vote is now live over on YouTube. 15 to go, this time by Johnny Wood Jr. on the loud pedal. Some tire spin on the restart. We're racing again at Dover. Josh Conover cleared a 3rd. Battle for 5th, 6th, and everything else. Clark, oh, big hit! The 16 in the wall, very hard. Robert Moyer Jr. will come to rest on the inside of the racetrack, and that number 16 It's not looking good. Neither is the 10 down here. How in the world, Zach?
Oh! Kevin Baumler is upside down.
Parked right in front of the camera we have there. How? Shades of Logano in 09.
Well, he didn't flip. Well, no, he did.
Yeah, he did. Oh my gosh.
The contact just flipped him over. Look at Brendan Maddox sliding into that.
So Kevin Baumler up and over in all of this. Let's see what his ride was like. Let's go to the proper driver's eye POV. 3 wide, they stack up. He was just trying to go low. Wow.
You hate to see it.
That is a spectacular set of circumstances in all of the wrong ways for the driver of the 10. Meanwhile, here to turns 3 and 4, you see all this setting up. Moyer a little slow down on the bottom. The 18 trying to go around the outside. They tighten up off the corner, contact there. Wow. That is just surreal.
Smith rolling on by there, just on the inside.
One more look at it, and we'll get back to live picture. I think it was 2010. I think we put Clint Boyer on his side here in the Nationwide Series race. 09. Flip Joey Logano down in turns 3 and 4. Now we're flipping Kevin Baumler's on the front stretch, and that's going to hurt his day, obviously. I would not expect him back on the racetrack after that. And we're down inside of 10 to go once we go back green here. We might even have exactly 10 to go. This is going to be a really, really interesting ending. Again, I struggle to bet against the race leader in a situation like this, Zach. Every time I do, it seems to completely do me wrong. But Josh Parrott and Josh Conover, they've each got to be steaming under the helmet right now. The virtual helmet, I suppose, or the VR headset even. If they can't be happy, they've got to be driven, I think, for this win. And Jourdain White, he's got plenty of reason to go up there and fight tooth and nail. He led 133 laps this race already. He wants to close it out. Does not want to let this be another what if.
Gotta be aggressive on the restart. Can't be afraid to go up there and make those passes and get that track position. The outside line has been a little bit of a bottleneck on these restarts, and the bottom has been very, very good to these drivers, so we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. 10 to go when we take the green flag, Andrew. Not a lot of laps to get it done.
We still have about 22 cars rolling. 15 of them on the lead lap. I'd say 10 or so still in race-winning condition. This race is far from over. We know we could send these guys to overtime. It's happened before. It can always happen again. Who knows? 10 laps to go. We'll get back to the stripe. Johnny Wood Jr., Josh Parrott, your front row as we approach the restart zone. Josh Conover, Jourdain White, Richard Wolstifer, Coulter Clark right in behind, waiting on this green flag. Potentially the final restart of the night at Dover. Racing again, a great restart from Johnny Wood Jr. Here we go, 10 to go. White falling back again. Big move from Clark to the inside. Wow.
Moved. So he's side by side with Jourdain White. Josh Parrott to the back bumper of Johnny Wood Jr. He's going to try to take the lead away.
Jourdain gets passed up by Coulter Clark, who now goes top 5. He's got new tires. He throws a bit of block there on Jourdain to turn 3, but he is setting his sights on the top 4.
Running out of time. Gotta find a way to get up there. He's got Wolstifer, Conover, and Parrott separating him from the the race leader,
He's
and
been
Clark goes
fastest.
quick, and he's getting on by Richard Wilsifer.
Some
Trying to,
contact
at
there
least.
between the two in turns 1 and 2. Contact again. He hits the 56. Richard, can he save the race car? No. Crash. Turns 3 and 4. That was going to undoubtedly be on the 4 car. Richard Walsifer, everything he put into this race, all for naught now. Here's the look down to turn 3. Coulter Clark on the inside. Just dove a little too hard. I know he's got the better tires, but, I mean, to be blunt, Zach, he cleaned him out.
I'm at a loss for words.
I find it hard to fault Coulter for wanting to, but you've still got to manage your car and not hitting the cars around you. And that's what he did not do down in that corner. He got into him, hit him pretty dang hard, crashed him. Here's the run up to switch up there, the big move to the inside. That's all fine. Down the backstretch, Wolfsburg got position on him again. And then down into the corner, it all went wrong. And then, for Maple, this has to be a Murtis Mega Miss.
Oh, baby.
That was close.
I feel like, and I may be speaking out my own butt here, I feel like in the defense of Richard Wolsifer, that more so seemed his corner than it did Coulter Clark. Clark was further on back, and I feel like sent it in a little bit harder, but at the same time, Coulter was there off of turn 2. They were heads-up racing for the position. I feel like Wolsifer needed to expect that Coulter Clark was going to be there. And that's not me saying that he needed to hand over the race position to Coulter Clark. That's more so me saying, you know he's going to be aggressive. You need to find a way to keep him down there where you know you can defend well, but not exactly, you know, pinch him and make contact. I know pinching happens. Like I said, I'm kind of talking out my own butt here, but it's, I feel like I can see it from both sides.
I'm not sure there's going to be much compromising here at the end of this. We're going to have 4 to go. We'll get back to the stripe. That's 4 miles of racing. I'm going to keep going back to the fact that the leader in the restart zone is going to have an enormous advantage. And I don't think we've seen the leader lose the lead into the restart zone yet.
Race Control has deemed it to be a racing incident through netcode and will be reviewed after the race. Just had to listen in on that one. So Coulter Clark's going to stay up there in the 4th spot for this restart, Andrew.
Oh boy. 4 to go. This is going to be interesting to the end. Johnny Wood Jr. He's on the front row alongside Josh Parent. A lot of hungry drivers, all trying to get their first win of the season. Into the restart zone, 4 to go at Dover. Let's settle it. Pretty solid restart for the outside lane. Josh Parent on Johnny's outside through 1 and 2. Can he have the run off in turn 2? Contact. More contact, and Josh has got his nose ahead.
Parent's not going to let it slide. He's going to try to defend as hard as he can on Johnny Wood Jr. They are side by side up of a turn number 4.
Here comes Coulter Clark.
Parent's going to have the lead at the line.
Here comes Coulter Clark on the outside. The 4 car goes all the way up to the wall. He's trying to get a run now down the backstretch. Here they go again. 3 wide behind him. Big move to the inside from Coulter Clark. He's going to get into the 22. Back underneath goes Johnny Wood Jr.
Parent had the lead well and clear, and Coulter Clark said, no thank you, sir. He threw it in there. 3 wide. I mean, that was insane. Now, Clark gets the lead on Johnny Wood Jr. They're going down the back straightaway, coming back to the white flag.
None of these guys are out of it.
Get those left back.
None of these guys are out of it. White flag this time by contact behind them, but your top three across the stripe. Coulter Clark, Johnny Wood Jr., Josh Parrott, who's going to win it? Dover, final time around. White flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. And I think it's decided now.
He's got it.
Coulter Clark simply was not going to be denied. It was controversial by nature. We'll see what happens in post. But Coulter Clark first across the line and wins at Dover. Big crash behind for Josh Conover.
Conover gets into, I believe that was Buzzio. They click back across the line. Conover and Buzzio both lost spots back there. Dyer almost got that top 5 that you talked about. He's going to end up 9th, but oh my goodness. There's going to be some words after this one.
Gloves were entirely off from everybody. Haymakers left and right. Prisoners here and I mean, that was a lot of aggression from everybody at the end.
Oh my goodness. There's some chaos behind them, but newly into Maverick Motorsports. I believe, yes, no, he is on Maverick Motorsports. I need to find my roster again. Hang on. Blackbird Motorsports, excuse me. I saw Coulter Clark with the Maverick guys, so I'm assuming there might be some sort of alliance there, but threw me off for a moment. But switch teams from Accelerate last season, brought it on over.
So that team, Blackbird Motorsports, is the team that Zach Maddox now runs. So definitely heavy affiliation. I'm not sure the exact details, but
Andrew, if you could describe this race in one word, what would it be?
oh, that's a good question.
Just based on everything that's happened.
That is a good question, Zach. I don't know that I really have an answer for you. Gloves were off for sure. The entire race. All take, no give. Aggressive. You know, there's a few adjectives you could throw in. This was definitely a show. Definitely a show.
The best show of all shows to end all shows.
There's going to be a lot of words post-race. There are going to be a lot of feelings post-race.
We had 2 wrecks coming to the checkered flag, too.
There's so much to this story. This is just the run back to the stripe. I want to see what happened to the 40 here. Racing with Buzzio there on the inside. Conover just gets the wall, and they crash down to the inside lane.
Behind.
Oh yeah, Patinko, Pooler. It's like we were aiming for him there at the end. I think some of these guys were just happy it was over. This is the controversy. And I think this is one that is maybe going to get me in a little bit of trouble, Zach. I mean, there were more incidents I see in the background. We can't review every single thing. But as far as the big dramatic ones, let's go back and see this again. So you got Johnny and Parent racing ahead. Coulter has done a lot of great things for Whiplash Racing over in AARN, and I still like the guy just the same. But this is really crazy. He was not afraid to use the right side of the race car at all tonight. And he just needs to be ready for when that comes back his direction. That is, I think, as fair of a take as I can give it right now, Zach. I mean, he had just cleaned out the 56 for a caution, and honestly, what I see is he went into turn 3 there, 3 wide under these two. He just was not going to take no for an answer. And I can appreciate about that. I can appreciate that about a guy. You know, there's the famous quote of Dale Earnhardt. I'm sure it's disputed, but, you know, the winner is the one who refuses to lose. It's not always the fastest car. It's whoever refuses to lose. And in this case, certainly Coulter refused to lose, but you've got to try and be respectful of the guys you're going to be racing with all season. And that just was not.
Thought you were going to say, I didn't mean to wreck him. I just meant to rattle his cage a little bit.
I think in my professional opinion, then we'll get to interviews and stuff, results and all that. In my professional opinion, Zach, to be just as middle of the road as possible, he just needs to be ready when that comes back around, because the two most notable guys that he got into are going to remember that for a long time. That said, we've got a lot to get to here still. Whole top 3 and results and everything. So let's take a look back and check out your unofficial race results here in just a moment. Of course, led by Coulter Clark, at least as they cross the stripe. Here it is. Coulter Clark with the win. Certainly in controversial nature. I think that's easy to say. Johnny Wood Jr. second, Josh Parent third. We'll be talking to each of them, and I'm sure there will be plenty of opinions all around. Jourdain White, 4th place. I know it's not the run, maybe the result that he potentially deserved, but hey, Jourdain, still a top 5. Still a lot of points. Fair enough. There's no real sweet talking that, or I guess sugarcoating it, right, Zach? I mean, he led all those laps and doesn't get the win. Still a lot of points in this chase format. That's still huge for him, but I know that's going to sting for a while as Brady Motes goes 5th right behind him. Motes and Conover right together, they're 5th and 6th. Jake Christenberry 7th. Adam Buzzio down to 8th. Sam Dyer still got a top 10, and Kyle Clank able to get back in the top 10 as well.
A lot of notable drivers getting back up into the top 10. I'd like to see Kyle Clank up there because I had him on my fantasy lineup, Andrew. But rolling down outside the top 10, guys who coulda, shoulda, woulda up there at least. Gray Walker in the 11th spot, and then Zach Maddox right behind him. Those were 2 guys that were up in the top 10 early on in the race. Gray was actually fighting inside the top 5 in the early stages of this race. Had a shot to go for the race lead with Coulter Clark, but ended up just falling further and further back. Evan Matinko settles for a 13th place position after getting into it with Zach Maddox off of turn 4, coming to the checkered. And then Jacob Quayle right behind them in that 25 car in the 14th spot. Scott Fritz ends up 15th as well. He was fighting up in the top 10 as well as Richard Wolsifer getting into it there towards the end of the race. Robert Moyer Jr. ends up 17th on the running order. He is the first car 1 lap down, and he ends up 2 laps down at the end. Ben Kinney at the end as well, 3 laps down in that 18th position. After going so far down the running order, really didn't expect to see him up in the top 20, but I'm sure he's happy rolling out of here with at least a decent finishing position when he was not exactly feeling it going into Dover. Brendan Maddox ends up 19th, and Carl Pooler ends up 20th. Both end up 11 laps down at the end.
And back in 21st tonight, Cameron Taylor, 13 laps down. I believe he drove it across the stripe at the end. I believe he did. Kevin Baumler did not, though. 15 laps down in 22nd. William Maple did finish the race technically, but 16 laps down in 23rd. The rest of these guys all DNF. Cole Lewis, Dakota Bly, Dan Stockaro, Cody Smith, Dustin Stallings, Caden Perkins. Again, there's really nothing I can say or anybody can say to soften the blow to those guys, Zach, but there are going to be some holes that need digging out of, certainly, after this evening, and that's the way it goes. There's always a handful of guys that have to try and come back from early season setbacks, and those are some of those guys there. But let's bring in, excuse me, getting the coughs out of my system here. Let's bring in Coulter Clark. And Coulter, I think you can anticipate some of the questions I'm about to ask you, so I'll give you the chance, the floor, to just answer them on your own. I mean, we saw everything, right, between you and Wolsifer, and then again you and Parent and Wood even. What do you make of it all?
It's just, I'm just trying to get to the front, you know. I was scared I was losing time, so the thing with Richard, you know, I pushed it into the corner what I felt like I had been, and I don't know. I didn't feel like I junked him, but I haven't looked at the replay, so I'm not going to say much on it. And then, you know, just the thing with Josh, I destroyed him. It was just I don't know, a skill issue, as to say, on my part. So, yeah, I feel super bad that I did that. Definitely not the way I want to win, but, you know, at least I get to say I won this season, and we still have almost a whole season to go. So that puts me in a really good position, other than, you know, the enemies quote I've made. So.
And Coulter definitely seemed like, for a good portion of this race, you and, you know, Jourdain, we can throw in Brendan and Dustin early in the race, kind of seemed like the top four here today. Would you agree with that? Because that also kind of plays into my next question about the ending.
Yeah, but I also feel like Johnny was really good at managing his tires and being there when he needed to. Parent did a great job to be there at the end, you know. That poorly timed caution during green flag pit stops kind of set us back. I feel like I would have had a better chance to make a cleaner win had we went green, but I mean, yeah, everybody was really competitive today, and I don't know, yeah.
So my next question that I said that would play into, it seemed like to me, the way you raced there at the end, I'm not trying to make any, you know, too crazy claims or anything, but what I saw was a refusal to lose. There's a famous quote out there from Dale Earnhardt along those lines, that the winner is the one who refuses to lose, and that's what it felt like. You knew you ran good earlier in the race, the timing of cautions worked against you, but you had tires, you saw the ones you needed to pass, and you simply were not taking no for an answer. That's what it looked like to me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I felt like I was the car to beat there, honestly. You know, I got around most cars pretty well up until the Richard incident, and then you know, I might have made my move a little early there at the end, but I mean, I still feel like that I would have got them either way. So I don't know. Just yeah, I want to come out here and I want to compete for wins every weekend. So
there you go, Coulter Clark. Only 12 laps led, but the final one was most important. Coulter, congratulations on the win, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Coulter Clark with a big day at Dover. Regardless of how it happened, Zach, he is still the winner, and that's a bunch of points in his bank for the season. Johnny Wood Jr., second place. Here he is for you, Zach.
He is, Johnny. You were fighting for the lead. You had it, then you didn't, then you had it, then you didn't. What do you feel like your takeaways were coming out of this one, and do you feel like you should be the one sitting in victory lane right now?
Well, at least I got beat by a guy that had fresher tires, so I'm not too sad about that. If that's the way to go, that's the way to go. But yeah, it was a pretty good race overall. I think it was more of a purist kind of race. It was just green flag runs, pit strategies, and all the 9 yards. And I took two right before that first stage just to try to get some points, and then I kind of flip-flopped it, so I had to stay out with those tires, which technically I didn't, because I ended up with a full set at the end of the race, unused. But I had to try not to bleed about the middle of that race too much, and then you know, had those long green flag runs, and then had a couple cautions kind of cycled through. That last caution, I want to say it was like the one after the long run, and it kind of saved me because it put a lot of people down, and it put me like fourth. That saved me big time. And then, you know, rest is history. So it's a pretty good race overall.
Well, the racing itself proved rather chaotic, we'll say, as we got closer and closer to the checkered flag, and you yourself were involved in a little bit of that chaos. You had Adam Buzzio to contend with, Brendan Maddox, Josh Parent, Jourdain White. Do you feel like maybe, considering there were so many different comers and goers, that you were the one that remained the most consistent out of those front runners?
I did kind of stay in the top 10-ish for a while. people that I was around raced relatively good. I know it got a little wild with some of the lap cars getting in the way. But yeah, the people that I race with, some of the new guys, shout out to some of the pit stop TV guys. I don't know the names right offhand, but I think it was like Josh and a few of them, Robert. I mean, they raced, clean and tight, not shipping it, done a pretty good job, and it was just fun. Like that's why that's why I get on here, is to run good, strong, clean races, not a sailboat race.
Having fun is the name of the game, I will say, and agree with you on that. Well, congratulations on your second place finish on the day. That's going to be some solid points for you walking out of here and going into the next race.
Yeah, looks like I'm second. Oh, that's the results. Man, he hasn't updated them yet. Yeah, we'll see.
It can be that way sometimes, but congratulations again, and we're looking forward to talking to you next week, hopefully.
Yep, appreciate it.
That was our second place finisher on the day, Johnny Wood Jr. And Andrew, I gotta say, like I said, he was pretty consistent with those comers and goers, and I think he had a solid chance to be winning that race. Bring on in Josh Perry then. I said, let's bring Josh Perry on in then. A third place finisher on the day. Josh, you had a strong run. You had the lead on the outside line. You were going for it. You had the momentum, and then Coulter Clark came in and took that lead away from you. How you feeling after that one?
He for sure took the lead. I don't know what it is. I felt like I had the restart to win, and last time I felt like I made the perfect move to win the race, I got sent also. So I don't know, is what it is, I guess. Just yeah, perfect restart, and I don't know. I just wanted to race for it. Didn't happen.
That's understandable. The incident there at the end between you and Coulter Clark, obviously tensions are going to be high, and you definitely feel like you had the run there at the end to go for it. Do you think there was anything you could have done differently over the course of the race to keep yourself in contention for this one?
Not have wheel damage from the start until the last pit stop. That would have helped me save a little bit of tires, set up better. I don't know. Just there's obviously things you can look back and think on and whatever to do better, but I mean, I could have sent it harder on the outside on Johnny to clear him, or held his door harder and not let him side draft me. Just there's a few things. I think that had I pulled with the lead, I could have aero blocked to win, because Coulter didn't have that much of fresher tires against me. But I don't know, man. It seems like I don't know. I got almost junked at Darlington for the win too, and barely saved that one. So I guess that's just what it is, right?
And then final question before we let you go out of here. You were involved in a couple of different incidents tonight. You had the incident with Josh Conover coming off of turn number 4 that more than likely gave you a little bit of nose damage, and you spent a lot of the race on the back pedal, but you never really left the top 10 for the most part. Do you think that consistency is going to continue to carry you on throughout the season and keep you in contention for the chase?
I hope so. I mean, I only had like 30 laps of practice in this car with the updates. The thing with the 40, like I said, I had wheel damage already, and I was just trying to protect. My right front was starting to get cooked on the longer run in this race, and I don't know if I was on his door, but we pushed up to the wall, and when he hit me, or when I got into the fence off of him, my rear tires just spun and it kicked the car out into his left rear, or right rear, sorry. And I don't know, it just seemed like racing. That's why I was deemed a racing deal. But I actually didn't get any damage off of that crash. It was super weird. I had the rest of my damage fixed on pit road after that, and it seemed to be a little bit better in the end.
Well, you had the speed there at the end. Unfortunately, not the finishing position you wanted to grab, but congratulations on that third place finishing position. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thanks.
And I gotta say, after everything that happened throughout this race, Andrew, that's a very content Josh Parent on that third place position. I know I use that word a lot coming off of post-race interviews, but, you know, usually when we have interviews with drivers that seem overall dissatisfied with where they could have finished, but satisfied that they got a result they felt they deserved, it seems to be content for the most part.
There are definitely going to be large opinions, though, moving forward, betwixt one another, and that's all okay. I mean, it's... I even have opinions, Zach. I'll leave it at that. I guess I'm intrigued when we get to New Hampshire next week to see who the real Chick Hicks ends up being, because next week we are doing something as Whiplash Creative, Pit Stop TV, and everybody is elaborating on this for next week's race at New Hampshire. It's going to be Cars movie themed. We've got a bunch of guys signing up for paint schemes, and a bunch of you have not done so yet. So if you're still listening, if you're a driver out there in the BRB Sundance Pro Series, and you hear my voice currently, whether it's live or in the VOD later on, if you've not picked your Cars character, I will list you right now. You got to go pick one. Get involved. Let's make this happen. There's going to be a lot to do for sure, but let's see. Dan Stockaro yet to pick. Jamie Plord, Zach Hall, Cody Dorsey yet to pick. Richard Wolsifer, Robert Moyer, Gray Walker, Evan Batsinko yet to pick. And then Stephen Borbell and William Maple Jr. yet to pick. But that means there's a lot of guys who have picked Cars characters, and I think it's going to be a very, very fun race next week at New Hampshire. Name pending. Working on that in the background. It's going to be pretty cool, though. We're going to have something, I think, very fun lined up for next week's race at New Hampshire, Zach. But in the meantime, we have got Driver of the Day to give out, and I gotta say, I am very surprised, just from beginning of day to end, who this is going to go to. But Sam Dyer is going to be today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day here at Dover Motor Speedway, Zach, and that is not at all what I expected earlier today.
I expected it because I picked him at least, but solid job for Sam. I mean, he stayed in it all race long. He was very, very consistent, and this is not like he had been in previous seasons beforehand. Like, remember, we used to call him out on what was a very conservative strategy that worked in the end for him to put him into the chase, and he was up there majority in the top 10 contending the entire time after starting 27th. So really, really solid day for Sam.
And not to toot my own horn or anything, Zach, but looking at fantasy teams, I had Coulter on my team. I also picked him to win the race.
Oh boy.
And, hey, I mean, that's what happened. There's a lot.
You're just trying to get a leg up on me from last night.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that'll do it for us this evening from Dover. A big thank you to all of our partners with the series, of course, Sundance Pizza, MXWraps.com, Performance Food Group, RevSimShop.com, Whiplash SimCams, and CC's Business. A big thank you to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash SimCams, MX Wraps, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. Boy, this season is off to a very interesting and hot start for sure. Spicy, I would say. I think is the best descriptor there, Zach. But upcoming for us here at the channel, we'll review this one more time. Tomorrow night, Sprint Cars at Lucas Oil Speedway. That's going to be fun. A combo we've not broadcasted yet here at the channel. Then Thursday, it's GT3 back at Suzuka for the North American Racing League AM drivers. And Sunday morning, we wake up with Cup Cars at Texas. Zach, any final thoughts, final words here from Dover Motor Speedway?
Give me more chaos. I don't know. The chaos has proven to be fun in some way, shape, or form. not the same chaos we saw tonight. I think you put it perfectly the other night, maybe not on broadcast, but in our private communications, that the NORA Retro Cup Series provided drama without the cautions. I kind of want to see that carry over into some more BRB races, because we have seen it before with them, and I'd love to see it again.
A lot of great races on the way here at Pits.TV, and of course for the BRB Racing League. That will do it for us, though, this evening from Dover Motor Speedway. Thanks so much for watching. This has been the Renewal by Anderson 175, a crazy one here at Virtual Dover. Boy, oh boy, we are in for a treat this season. Next up, New Hampshire. You better be there next week. Until then, thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Dirt Sprint Cars at Lucas Oil.